did not suck. My heads up opponent did not suck. Scored more than I've scored all season.
Damn.
He had 180 something. I put it in the group chat. But
Oh yeah, I remember you. Yeah,
it was absurd. I remember he had Bijan and Drake London.
Ooh, my beaker.
Yeah.
Nice.
I told my wife that's your favorite.
Do we have a couple I can rinse out for you guys?
Hmm?
I'm not seeing any.
I mean, when do we want me to take my Bowmore?
That's gonna start you off with it.
Sounds great, because I'd like to forget it as soon as possible.
There you go. Shot glasses. Missing.
They might be in the cabinets. My wife's like, put them in the cabinets. They'll never get dusty. So just check them all. They're all liquor related.
Okay.
No cleaning supplies?
Huh?
No cleaning supplies? Just like
No. They bring that
awesome.
in. They bring that in when they clean.
Oh, you got a ram shot glass over here. Here you go.
Yeah.
Did I get these for you guys last year?
No, this one I got. See, it's like Mexicanified.
I know I got you guys glasses that were team related. I just didn't know.
We got the big Steins last year.
Yes.
I love it. My wife hates it because I put it up. I've got like the big cabinet shelf, and I've got all my dragons and stuff up there, my cool stuff. I've got it right up there in the corner. You know what I mean? My wife hates it, but I love it.
She likes all the dragon stuff and hates
Oh
the
no,
Stein?
she hates it all.
Oh, okay. Oh, she hates it all. That's funny, dude. Dude, this is really cool. This flask.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, my mom got that for me for Christmas.
That's really nice.
Oh shit, I didn't bring the bottle in. Let me go
Dude,
grab the
people
bottle.
leave so many bottles out there. I was talking to Brian earlier
Leave bottles where?
at the cemetery.
Oh, like they'll drink their.
Sometimes they drink them, sometimes they don't.
Oh wow.
What do you do with the ones they don't?
I'm sure
Same
they
thing
collect
we do.
them.
Yeah,
Just dump 'em.
it's just yeah.
I'm pretty sure he don't dump them. Whoever collects them, pretty
Huh?
sure he takes those home.
No, they don't take anything home.
Yeah, they're not allowed to or something.
Yeah.
So they just trash them. No, they probably take them home.
They trash all kinds of stuff.
I'm sure they do, but I'm sure they're like they look at stuff and they're like, nope, that's not. I'm not trashing that. Taking it.
Maybe. I mean, I would. There was because I mean I have. It's funny too because I was. People put out a lot of flowers and different types of plants and stuff like that for the holidays, and so they have to go through and clean all that shit up. They have to pick it all up, and some of them are like, dude, this is plantable. Like, you can take this home and plant it. And I mean, I need to like fill out some space at my house and flower beds and stuff like that. So I was like, and I asked them, it's like, so you guys allowed to take like plants like this? You're gonna throw it away? You're allowed to just take it home? Mm-mm.
Well, my question would be like, are you working at a facility currently?
No, I'm community service.
Ah,
Something I did in 22.
gotcha.
Nothing special, but wanted to get a little quantity. Can never go wrong with Kirkland.
There you go.
No, you can't.
They're
I
usually
mean,
like
they're basically Grey Goose, right?
Yeah.
they're usually like 1 degree off of a premium brand of some kind, and they give it to Kirkland because they're just slightly maybe the distill rate wasn't quite there, or yeah. So it's always good stuff anyway.
Stupid Wandale Robinson.
What did the results end up being?
It was
I didn't
horrible.
keep up on that at all.
It was horrible, dude. You don't want to know. Yeah,
I know Neighbors did good.
Yeah, I think the number that we set it at was like 12 PPR points, and I think Neighbors hit that mark like 10 times, and Wandale hit it like 4. He came close on like 2 or 3 other times, but the overall tally is bad. And it's funny because it started out really good. I remember it being close. We gonna do Super Bowl picks tonight?
I think last season we did our picks, and as they dropped off, we like.
And that's what I would like to do because our teams are still in it. And so we have obligated picks. You know what I mean? So, like, if you ask me who's going to the Super Bowl from the AFC, it's the Steelers.
Yeah.
But
But last
Yeah,
season,
but his team could actually get there.
last season,
If they avoid the Eagles, they've got a really good shot.
last season we did like as our picks fell off, like we revised our picks as we went. So I don't see why we can't do that again this year.
Oh yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so
Yeah.
you can pick the Rams and you can pick the Steelers tonight, and then you can change it next week
right. Yeah.
based
we
on
have to.
based on who's left.
Yeah. So I haven't really made a board or anything because I wasn't sure how we were gonna do it tonight. You know, I wasn't sure if we're just gonna bullshit, make some picks or what. So, you know, even you.
No
had
questions we can't do
walking in.
both. Huh? What's up?
So even you had questions when you walked in, like, "How are we doing this?" I was like, "Oh, it was good."
Do we have casual drinks? Is there?
No,
I should have brought something.
Yeah. I could probably get some over here.
I don't even mean like alcohol, just something to drink.
Oh, check the fridge.
Thank you.
Some kind of chaser.
As a matter of fact, is there any grapefruit left?
There is.
Oh yeah.
I got an idea here.
Hey, there's a Modelo Chelada in there.
That's my brother's favorite.
They're good.
Oh, dude, he drinks the shit out of those.
Yeah. Let's do this. Did you poured a little more?
Yeah.
All right, we'll make sure we do that on.
We are live too, by the way.
Oh, hey. I had no idea. Well, hello, everybody. I hope somebody's out there.
Welcome to Wild Card Weekend. We're gonna make a few picks tonight. We're gonna try and project who's gonna be in the Super Bowl. Well, I am. These two guys are definitely gonna pick their teams, but
Steelers all the way, baby.
yeah, he's delusional. It's crazy. How you can say that after the last month?
All right, well, so let's start off with the Homer Minute here. Because I tell you, no, and obviously the last month has been bad, but we knew what was coming up there. And we also talked about some of the issues that were going on. I mean, we had TJ Watt out for 1.5 games.
I'm not worried about your defense. I'm not worried about your defense.
Yes, the defense is awesome. And
I'm worried about your quarterback play.
And if we could just, like, if you watched all the games, like, there was, like, 2 turnovers that we created, or 2 fumbles or interceptions or whatever that we created that just didn't quite, like, oh, we should have had it and didn't, and it would have changed the entire game. I don't feel like we were out of any of those games. And
Rams blue, baby. Rams all the way.
in the Super Bowl, let's do it.
Right.
Dude, Steelers Rams Super Bowl, dude. We'd have to like just take out a loan on our houses and go. Like we'd have to go.
I've got a punishment shot here for betting on Wan'Dale Robinson. So thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
Yep.
I'm gonna drink this Bowmore.
You enjoy that. You enjoy that.
Oh, I'm sure I won't.
Set it on fire.
But he did.
Here we go.
In all fairness, he bet on Wan'Dale Robinson. So to beat Malik Neighbors. So it sounds so stupid now.
You know what? It's actually better than I remember. So it's not.
It's aged. All right, so you're in the middle of your Homer Minute.
You know, and here's the thing. Like, obviously, you want to play Houston in the AFC. That's the. Oh, it's going on you, huh?
God, it just stays in your mouth.
So Houston is. So Houston is who you want to play in the AFC.
It's like licking glue.
Dude. The aftertaste is the worst.
It's so bad.
It's the worst. Yeah,
It's like that taste, you know, like when you go to the dentist and he's got his fingers in your mouth and stuff like that from like the
Right.
the gloves, that taste that it leaves in your mouth. That's exactly what it's like.
And that is like a $50 or $60 bottle of
Yeah, that's the
alcohol.
funny thing about it, people. Is it's not a cheap bottle.
Yeah.
That's why it's so funny that
Really
we hate
bothers
drinking
me,
it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you. It felt necessary though.
But no, if we're gonna go up against somebody other than Houston, we'd want it to be Baltimore. I mean, this is a team that we are familiar with. This is a team
I agree with that.
that we've beat
100%.
this year already. This is we know how to beat Lamar. We've won what 8 out of 10.
And I saw this really interesting stat on Lamar Jackson. His in Lamar Jackson's starts throughout his career, the Ravens averaged 28.7 points. In the playoffs, of which he's now had 6 starts, so this isn't even really a small sample size, they averaged 16 points a game.
Yes, sir.
That's a big difference. So
like I can definitely see why you'd be like, well, I mean, we get playoff Lamar. We're not worried about that.
and like I say, not saying I'm not.
And no Zay Flowers. No,
right.
No Zay Flowers.
No Zay Flowers, which is a big deal. I was listening to a stat that on like 50% of the times that Lamar is pressured, he goes to Zay Flowers, and there's no Zay Flowers, and he's going to be pressured all day long. So I don't know. I feel like we can make some mistakes there. Maybe we can actually hang on to an interception or a fumble. And I think
you're going to have to stop Derrick
Henry
Henry too. You're going to have to stop Derrick Henry too. That's a hard ask.
I know. Yeah.
This is his time of year.
Yeah. King Henry is. Respect. The guy is good.
The guy is good.
So, what do you think about the Rams?
Well.
First of all, you got to bring up you guys lost your home game. They announced that about 7 hours ago, I think now.
Okay.
The game's going to be played in Arizona, so a huge win for the Vikings and Vikings fans. And
I still think it's going to be mostly Rams fans because the
Vikings are trying because they put out like just right after that got announced. There's you have a if you go onto their app. The Vikings app. I didn't know the Vikings had an app, but yeah, they have an app. You have a chance to win 4 tickets to the game, a $3,000, I think it's Delta Airlines gift certificate or whatever, and a $2,000 at a Marriott.
Wow. Yeah, but how many of those can they give away?
Well, they're one probably, but
that's what I'm saying. Right?
But I don't know. It's
I heard they spent
living in California. We think of like traveling to large cities as a huge deal because they're all so fucking far apart from each other. But you tell some Minnesota fans all they have to do is like drive 10 hours to be in a
That's more than 10 hours, isn't it?
It's probably like 16.
Yeah. Okay.
Something like that. I would because my uncle drove all the way here from Oklahoma in 2 days, and just like I think 12 hours a day or something like that. So it's not that bad. If you really want to go. Yeah. And so I think while I expect there's still to be more Los Angeles fans, there's going to be a lot of Vikings fans there.
Definitely more now. What were you saying, Ray?
Sorry, buddy.
No, I lost my thought. You guys can keep going.
Yeah.
So it was something about the number or the sales. I can't remember.
Oh, yeah. Didn't Minnesota earlier this season buy like $2 million worth of tickets?
They did did that to the Lions.
Yeah,
they bought a bunch of tickets for that last Lions game.
Did they really?
Just this week? Yeah.
Boy, that worked.
Hey, and you know what? We actually we'll just kind of like jaunt through my Homer minute real quick, and that's to say that.
We were going to be nice and skip you, but okay.
Okay. Hey, Vegas has us as the odds-on favorite to land Tyreek Hill, who just quit on the Dolphins.
That's true. Yeah. Sounds like a good landing spot.
Are you happy about taking a player that just quit?
No, I'm not. I
19 to 20 hour drive by.
I think that's damn. I'm good. I said 16, right?
16, yeah.
I'd do it in 16.
Probably fair.
So, it was really interesting how the season unfolded because we sat here probably like 8 weeks ago, and I was like, he's got to be gone. Like he's gone, and then it just for a season that really went off the rails the way that it did with like injuries and stuff like that for them. Losing Dak, losing Zach Martin, who might retire. The team just didn't quit. They never quit.
It's true.
They played tough in every game, all the way up to the last one where they sat everybody. Week before last when they shut down CD and they got ran over by the Eagles. But even in that, even at the last,
it was like getting emotional after every game, just like I can't remember what it was, but I was like, damn, he really still wants to win.
He really cares. I love that kid so much. He is the man. He cannot go anywhere. And you know what? Someone asked him about becoming the highest paid defensive player. And he's like, yeah, that's cool, but I want to win.
Yeah.
I want to play with other good players. So he's not concerned about like
Once you have more than 10 million, man, you have other goals.
and you can make it in other ways.
Yeah.
You don't have to get it from your salary. That's
Yeah.
the like people,
Especially in a big
people
market
will
like
just
Dallas.
talk about how Tom Brady was married to a supermodel who made more money than he did, but he also had plenty of opportunities in the market for to make extra money. He didn't have to charge the Patriots a premium to stay because he wanted to win,
I'm sorry, sidetrack. How is it possible that a model makes more than Tom Brady?
I know, right?
How is that possible?
She made like I want to say she made over $100 million a year.
It's because of like all the clotheslines and the perfume lines and all those miscellaneous makeup lines. Like the model, they
and
sell all
the amount that
those
she
lines.
charges per photo shoot. But yeah, he was
Seems unbelievable.
He was the broke ass boyfriend, winning 7 Super Bowls out here playing.
Yeah, but he's making what, 40 million a year?
No, he wasn't. He
NFL?
didn't. He never did. No.
Remember, Tom Brady sacrificed a lot of his
A lot.
salary to keep winning.
Yes. And so I like that about Micah. And so when the team doesn't quit on a coach, it's like, how do you get rid of that guy?
Yeah.
And they're going to keep him. The Bears requested an opportunity to interview him, and they declined it. And I was like, he's coming back. As they started contract talks today. We'll see how long that takes. He's got until his reserve window, so no one can talk to him until January 14th.
Right.
So it's coming up fast. We'll see what happens. Because he still could get out there and interview for other jobs.
But you get the feeling, all the vibes to me say he's staying. But
If he starts interviewing for other jobs, we can entertain some other ideas. But right now, I'd be as surprised as I would have been 8 weeks ago that he was coming back. I'd be that surprised now if he doesn't. And so, yeah. Anyway, done with that.
all right, so
Let's talk about that Lions Vikings game first.
Let's talk about the Arizona Rams.
Huh?
The Arizona Rams over here. We haven't talked about this game yet.
Oh, not his game, but his homer.
minute. And one thing real quick before I move to that, I work. Obviously, I have a job and I work, and I in the office there was somebody had that Cowboys on their desktop, and periodically I change it over to Eagles just to kind of like.
That's a good one.
That's what you get.
That's the one to do
for not like locking your stuff, right? And today, or it might have been yesterday, I looked over and he's got that Cowboys thing over, and I look at him and I go, "Hey, you can change that desktop now. Your season's over." Right. And then, so I got a good chuckle out of that. We're hazing each other at work. And he was like, you better hope you win that first game, talking shit like that. So, I was like, yeah, he's right. You better win that first game. As far as the game goes, we got the Vikings coming up first. We got them in Arizona. And I am not scared. I think,
you shouldn't be.
I think Sam Darnold's got a lot still to prove. It's prime time, Monday night. We got to see if he's another Kirk Cousins. Is going to just, Minnesota is elevating him to a gameplay that he shouldn't be at, right? So I'm not really afraid of that. And I'm looking at the bracket, and I wanted to pull the bracket up, and I will eventually. And we may not even have to worry about a real top contending team for a while.
Until you play the Lions.
Until we play the
Who
Lions.
you should have beaten on opening night.
Yeah, absolutely. So it doesn't look very scary. Like there is a road there.
You know, path, huh?
Let's just see if they.
Well, and Stafford has to be the quarterback that people trust the most out of the NFC right now. How do you not?
Mm-hmm.
Who do you trust over Stafford and McVay in the NFC?
Top quarterback, top coach.
And the Rams are healthy.
You can make an argument for Hurts there, but
he hasn't won yet.
No, but he's
also just barely cleared concussion protocol today.
That is true.
And he was gonna say he's a little bit banged up too, still even clearing concussion. the concussion protocol.
Yeah, so I think I'm not going to pick this to happen, but I think there's a real possibility that the Packers get past the Eagles,
Really?
and then you're talking about the Rams get to play the winner of the Bucks and Commanders.
That'd be a nice path for them.
And if the Commanders win, they get it to do it at home.
Yeah. And they might, yeah. I mean, well, spoiler alert, they just might win.
And then, and then if we're talking the Packers go and play the Lions, it's hard to beat a team 3 times. It's hard. That's hard to
That
do.
feels like a fallacy to me, man.
That's hard to do, dude. Like, I was just watching. I was just because I like to do this. I am a true football nerd. I have spent the week watching old playoff games, and one of the ones that I watched was the '98 NFC wildcard game between the Cowboys, who were at home, and the Cardinals. The Cowboys went 10-6 that year, but 8 of those wins came against the NFC East. They went 8-0 against the NFC East that year. And if you remember, the Cardinals were a part of that division at that time.
Oh, I was like trying to figure out where you're going with that.
And they
They're not the same.
and they had crushed the Cardinals in the 2 meetings that they had that year. And just they couldn't deal with them. It's hard to beat a team 3 times.
The statistics for it is really low.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
We can ask AI, but
Like
It's
I
happened
think
a few times to the Steelers, and every time it's because we're the Steelers. I'm just like bullshit, and we beat them every time. And it's only I say every time. It's probably been 2 or 3 times in the last 20 years. But
it was one of those times when Carson Palmer went out on like the first drive.
what does that matter?
It matters a little bit when the starting quarterback for the team. I mean, ask
Hey, that guy
ask
got his
Chad
bonus
Johnson.
for taking him
Ask
out.
Chad Johnson. Yeah, he'll give you a better response than I ever could.
Ocho?
Yeah,
Ocho Cinco?
Ocho Cinco. Yeah, you can watch him and Shannon Sharp on their late night podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if they do it every night, but it seems like it's a lot. It's definitely multiple times a week.
Like you've listened to it and it's good?
I have not checked. I checked in after the Joy Taylor stuff happened to see if Shannon Sharp was going to address it, and
as far as I can tell, no one's addressed it at all.
not on their side. Not
on Fox.
No,
Nobody currently.
Wait, what are we?
employed.
Oh,
they're doing.
okay,
they're
okay,
doing the
okay.
whole. We're not even paying attention to that. Which is the smart play. I didn't expect any of them to come out and go, "I'm sorry." So, which is funny because the internet does. The internet has like people are fools. The comments are hilarious, and like I
Don't get me
follow
started on social media.
I
or
follow.
internet.
So I'm only on X now, and I follow Antonio Brown, and he is the funniest guy on the internet right now. I swear to God.
That guy.
Yeah, Antonio Brown is the best follow on X right now, and because he talks about everything, not just sports, but everything. Like what did I see today? It was.
But isn't it everything in how it relates to him? Because
No,
everything
no,
is about him.
No, it is not at all. It's he's so funny, dude. He belongs on TV.
LeBron had a show on HBO for a while. It's like a barbershop show.
Yeah,
Just
I
like
remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Antonio Brown was on there one time. And man, talk about the fool in the room. Like everyone was having this serious discussion and everything else. And Antonio Brown just coming, yeah. And then what they did to me and then me. And it was just like, what the hell?
You got to remember. You got to remember
man.
that is a production that gets edited, and there's
This was a conversation that was happening, and it was.
Was it live? Because if it wasn't live,
you're
then
right,
I
it
don't-
wasn't live,
if
but it was a
Because if
conversation.
it's not live, then I don't always trust it.
Unless they're chopping up the conversation, but like that's
It's still like there are sometimes
hard to do and have it flow.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Anyway, what did I got? This one was so funny. It was Elmo, and he had like a bunch of white powder on his upper lip under his nose, and the tag was Mike McDaniel watching the wild card weekend. And it's just stuff like that.
A lot of people thought he was going to get fired. He didn't.
I didn't think he was going to get fired.
I didn't either, but a lot of people did. I was surprised.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, it wouldn't have surprised me had he gotten fired, but I'm not surprised that he stayed.
Right.
You know. So yeah. Anyway, I really wanted to talk about that Lions Vikings game
Okay.
before we like start picking stuff. I said this in the group chat while it was going on. That looked like 2019 Sam Darnold. It was not because it was not. I mean, you could. Okay, the view that you get from television when you're watching a game is awful. I gotta say that first. It's horrible.
Right.
Show me all the players. I want to see everybody on the screen. I want to be able.
Madden view.
Yes, I want to be able to see what is happening in the play. I don't need you to zoom in on the quarterback.
Most people don't want to watch all the
No.
so they just want to watch the ball. So that,
Do they?
You know, and
Why?
And mentioning that,
You can follow the ball and then zoom in. It's not like you. I did this 25 years, 20 plus years ago in high school. You know, filming and zooming in and zooming out and zooming in and zooming out. Like, okay, there's the ball. Zoom in on it. You know,
Sure.
Quarterback throws the ball, running back is running the ball. Zoom in on the play. Then that's fine.
Sure. And there's a lot of stuff you miss because, like, even the camera guys, like, there is, and to your point, there is a lot of stuff you miss. Like the ball gets thrown, and then in an instant, you have to see like where that receiver was open and stuff.
And
I
a lot,
don't
and
get to see how he got open.
yeah,
and
yeah.
or how open he is.
Right.
So a lot of times you don't see the defender coming over the top, how close he actually was, or whatever. So you're not able to. Most of the time, you're not able to see as a fan when a quarterback is making bad decisions. You could see Sam Darnold making bad decisions, even with the horrible television view. Him just missing guys that were open, and
Wide
him not throwing. And it was him. It's not that he missed; it's that he didn't take the shots. He wasn't letting go of the ball.
There was a few times he took the shots and he just overthrew them by 10 feet.
A couple of times, yes.
There was more than a couple. Justin Jefferson was getting visibly angry, and
I actually thought that Justin Jefferson, like, I mean, I don't think you could ask for a better way, a receiver to handle that better than he handled it. Because he was still patting Sam on the back and
for sure. But there were definitely times where he was just like, oh,
yes,
this guy.
Yeah,
I want to strangle this guy.
Yeah, there were times where it just didn't look good. It really didn't look good. Like the most egregious one to me, the one I can't get out of my head, is him just not throwing that open slant to Jordan Addison. It would the game was, I believe the Lions were up 10-9. And the Vikings were inside the 10. No, 10-6. It was 10-6, and the Vikings were inside the 10-yard line. And Darnold, Addison runs a slant, and it's perfect. It's perfect. It's an easy touchdown, and Darnold just doesn't throw the ball.
Yeah.
And there was just more stuff like that, and other plays that I saw broken down by other people where he just made the wrong decision, and there was a guy who was running wide open and Darnold's been hitting those plays all season long. And he kind of reverted to, turtle shell Darnold, where he just doesn't do anything good. And he was absolutely the reason they lost that game. Yeah. And so...
And there's no doubt about that. He was the reason they lost that game.
Yeah.
He played poorly.
Horrible. Absolutely horrible. The defense held it together for a long time, but you cannot keep giving a team like the Lions chances. Right. And eventually they busted the door down, and Jahmyr Gibbs looked like a superstar. But for 3.5 quarters, almost 3 full quarters, the Lions couldn't do anything either.
Yeah.
It's just that it was because the Vikings were playing excellent defense, not because their quarterback was just blowing it.
Yeah.
And so if you're a Vikings fan, you got to be scared.
Yeah, because before you were like, well, shoot, we're just going to keep Darnold and, we'll sell off McCarthy or we'll just keep him as a backup or whatever. Now you got to be like, well, God, I can't wait to see McCarthy next year.
Unless
there's a major turnaround this week. Go ahead.
To a point that I was making earlier, it was the first game all season with something on the line.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
And now there's even more on the line. Mm-hmm. It's one and done. At least you still got in the playoffs if you lost that match.
And this is his first playoff start.
And
yeah.
And guess what? Cooper Kupp's been there before. Nakua's been there before. Matthew Stafford's
Not
been
Nakua.
there. No, I think he was there last year.
He was there last year, but last year that when you say been there before, I'm talking like been to the big game, like been to a
No, I'm talking about the
championship
playoff game.
Yeah.
He
knows the atmosphere.
He knows the
Comfortable.
atmosphere of the playoffs. He was there last year. He'll have his first time that ever when the Super Bowl comes around. But yeah, he's been in this situation before. Maybe that's a better, more accurate way to put it. On the flip side of that, there's a lot of defensive talent that's not been there before. But that's typically not something that
defense is
ever.
Not
you
quite the same
worry
curve,
more about
yeah.
the offense
Yeah.
because the defense they can just kind of like hit somebody and get themselves into the game. And that defensive line is going to put pressure on Darnold.
It's gonna be exciting.
Yes.
You know what? Here's the part that I'm salty about. I actually am teaching 6 to 9 on Mondays.
Hey,
So
you know
when I
what?
saw that it was a Monday night game, I was like, "Oh, you got to be kidding!" So I'm trying to figure out like how I can like have it like somewhere.
No one's
just
going to say it.
running.
Well, I mean, you're talking about your classes in person?
Yeah, this one's in person.
Yeah. I just tell them, hey, we're putting the game on tonight, guys.
I think I'll have it running somewhere in the background.
But on that note, I cannot stand it. I cannot stand it that Wild Card Weekend is 3 days.
Yeah, why are we doing a Monday night game for?
Why not do it on Friday?
If you're gonna do it,
Yes. If you're going to do it at all, why not do it on Friday?
yeah, I don't know what's up with this Monday stuff.
Yeah, I don't like the competitive disadvantage it gives the team that moves on.
So, if I'm looking at this, the Rams play the Vikings, 5-4. The Rams win, and if Green Bay wins, then we're going to get Washington or Tampa Bay.
Yeah. And that's best case scenario.
That's best case scenario. So, how do you guys feel about that scenario, the Green Bay and Philadelphia? What's going on over there? How do you guys feel about that?
Oh, well,
game?
how about we break into the games? We'll just.
If we
you
could
have.
do
Do you
that.
have? I saw that you had an order. So.
Oh yeah, the order. That's just the odds and stuff like that as of today.
Well, that's also the order that the games are happening in.
Yeah, usually they're pretty good at listing the games in order. So starting tomorrow, okay, we can get into the games, and we could just spend more time on the games, huh? So
Whenever we want to, right?
yeah. So first up, we're getting into our pick'ems, and our pick'ems' current score is 180, 153. Ken, 175. Brian, and Bezzy was not here making picks last week, so he's at a goose egg for last week. We all had 7 correct picks last week.
Last week week 18 was terrible.
That's awful.
Yeah, week 18 is just terrible.
Let me check this Pick'em Scores website, and let's see if it's still a good website. I haven't looked at it at all this year, and we checked it frequently last year. And
I don't want to this year.
I would have brought it up.
I had a horrible year, so yeah, I definitely probably would have if I was,
Wow, so the pros were on it this year, it looks like.
Or we were not.
and we were not. Yeah, it's crazy.
Last year we were like top 10 with the pros last year.
The last 2 years.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. At number 14, that's when I tie the first person, Dan Graziano from ESPN, Kimberly Martin from ESPN, Dave Richard. I beat Dave Richard from CBS
Dave Richard's
Sports.
a smart dude.
Beat John Breach from CBS Sports, Tyler Sullivan, Pete Prisco.
John Breach is also a smart guy.
I guess
So
average
you had a good year.
Yahoo users, yeah.
Yeah, you had a great year. It was just me. I just had a bad year. You guys were still fine.
Yeah, so
It was just me. I was
Brian's-
terrible. Don't listen to me. I know nothing.
Brian starts beating people at Seth Wickersham, Kalen Caller, Leo Sells, Will Brenson, James Breyer, who from Gridiron. So yeah, that's the overall so far. Matt Bowen from ESPN's got 199 correct picks.
You had a good year.
That's the best I've ever seen in
170
pro
something?
years. Huh?
We're in the 170s.
I'm at 180. You're at 175, and Ken's at 153.
Yeah.
And we're missing a few games there, so we should probably have a couple more.
Oh, yeah, that's
on
true.
that, but-
Yeah, there's a number of games that
Oh
we
yeah, that's true.
we
I didn't
just
think
we
about
just
that.
didn't add up.
We just
Yeah.
don't pick those games, too. So, and then
Yeah, that's where all mine came from. That's why I'm so low.
and in Ken's defense, he hasn't been watching the games as close.
That's true.
Because he's got a much larger commute that he's doing as he's pursuing some of his personal goals. It's taking up a lot of time. He's spending a lot of time on the road.
I also have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old
Yeah, and then you got the
who just turned 4, so he was a 3-year-old for most. Yeah.
So so that's that there. So our first game, pick'em scores this week, wild card weekend: LA Chargers versus Houston Texans. LA's -2.5, over unders 41.5. Money line is -162 if you're betting on the Chargers, plus 136 if you're betting on the Texans. Is this Harbaugh's first season back?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so first season back, he's in the playoffs. I felt like he was gonna be able to turn that team around. I made some comments of that earlier in the season. I didn't really lean into him too much, but I'm not surprised by this.
Me either.
Well, I think we all thought he was going to be better, but for him to get this much better, to make the playoffs, to get double-digit wins with no receivers, basically.
Whoa.
Well, no, they drafted Lab, but they didn't know what they'd have in
Quentin
in
Johnston's also turned it on lately. He's been the last
better.
month of the
He's
season.
definitely-
The last month of the season, he was good. Like, so the very last game against the Raiders, 13 catches on 14 targets.
Yeah, no, that's good.
He was fantastic, and he looked like exactly what they thought they were getting when they drafted him.
but haven't yet. And so maybe they're finally getting that.
Yeah,
you know?
and if they are, that's terrifying. Like for the rest
Yeah,
of the
because
league.
for McConkey to now have the experience, to have a season under his belt, McConkey at the end of the season is looking amazing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then if Huge is going to come on the other side,
And you already know what you're getting out of Herbert. And and Harbaugh teams run the football.
and they finally
They're
have J.K.
successful at
Dobbins
running the
back,
football.
and so they can actually run the football a little bit.
And
where
they
couldn't
picked up
before.
Zeke. You knew I was going to get
Well,
that.
now
in there.
they're going to the
You
Super
knew I
Bowl,
was going to
baby.
get that in there. I actually don't know if he's playing tomorrow, but
I heard practice squad, so I don't think yet.
Yeah.
But probably next. Who knows? Depends on what happens.
yeah, it all depends on what happens. I think he's just an insurance policy in case Dobbins goes down. But if Dobbins
Yeah,
goes down,
because Gus Edwards did nothing.
Gus Edwards had a worse season than Zeke did. Like, you remove that, like, 140-yard run that he had, which is ridiculous. Is like the longest run he's had in 5 years or something like that. And he averaged, like, just over 3 yards a carry.
Not good,
So,
folks.
no,
good.
not good. So Zeke would definitely be an upgrade from Gus Edwards, in my opinion.
I think so too, honestly. I think
Because
they're
you don't have to take him off the field
closer
on
than
third
you
down.
would like, but I do think that Zeke is the better back. Yeah.
Zeke can still hurdle guys. Okay, he's not gonna run the 100 yard.
Slowest hurdle ever.
He's not gonna run the 100-yard dash in under 10 seconds anymore. But he can still jump over you, and he's still a great blocker.
Yes.
So.
Knows how to do his job for sure.
Yes, so and he has experience too.
Yeah.
Man, the Texans looked so good back in like week 4.
Right.
But losing Diggs and then Dell has really diffused their offense. They just do not look the same. And like without those weapons, Joe Mixon doesn't look the same.
True.
And this Chargers defense is really good. I do not expect the Texans to win this game.
Okay, let me make the case for the Texans to win this game. And they haven't had to play meaningful football in a month or more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when they're going out, they really have nothing to play for, except getting maybe some experience on different things or trying out this and that. But honestly, they've been not really worried about winning for a month. Now, I'm not saying that's a great way to come in, but if you're spending that month getting ready for the playoffs, coming up with this cool stuff.
Is that what the Steelers were doing?
Yes. Plans within plans, man. You don't know. But they haven't had to play meaningful football in a month. And so if they really spent and used that time wisely and really came up with an amazing game plan or whatever, like you can see something happening. They do have pieces to work with. Stroud has not been
Nico Collins is a
freaking stud.
Yeah.
If Mixon gets going, like Houston can win this
If
game.
Houston's able to run the football tomorrow, it's going to be an interesting game. That's the problem, though, is I don't think they're going to be able to run the football.
So do you think this is a close game or a blowout?
I think the Chargers have the ability to blow them out.
I'd agree with that, just the ability.
They've
But
scored
that's not how I
34
predict
plus
things
points
to
in
go.
3 consecutive weeks now. And the running backs getting hurt this season actually helped their offense because they had to throw the football.
Right.
And they figured out that they've got weapons. Like they're going to be missing Josh Palmer tomorrow. And that is a big deal. That's a big deal. Herbert likes Palmer. He
doesn't show in the stats, but
I know it doesn't. But they're in tough moments. There's a lot of times where he's throwing the ball to Josh Palmer, and Palmer does make big catches. He's a good receiver. I'm not saying he's someone you should be watching out for in fantasy. That's frustrating. Mm-hmm. But he is not a bad receiver. He's someone that they depend on. So that it's a big loss. But unless something happens to McConkey, I just don't see how the Texans win this game. I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with the Chargers. I don't think they're going to be able to stop them.
Yeah, and I'm gonna pick the Chargers too, but I think it's going to be more of a game. I really think.
I hope it is.
Yeah, it feels like this is going to be kind of a close game, and I think the experience of Harbaugh really kind of is going to make a difference here. And I just got to say, like, Herbert has been Herbert for years now. How many years has he been in the league? He's been great all those years.
This is still only his fifth year, I think.
Right, but this is the first time that somebody has really, like, and without weapons, really, like, used his talent the way it needs to be used.
Agree.
Like, the difference in coaching between this year and Herbert's last 3 years has got to be night and day. Mm. And I tell you what, Herbert's probably one happy man that he's got a new coach right now.
He looks that way. I said this a few weeks ago. Herbert looks like he's having fun.
Yeah.
And I said the rest of the league's in trouble if that's the case.
Well, and I hope the NFL takes notice that these coaches that build up their players instead of tearing them down are actually doing a hell of a lot better. You know what I mean? They're doing better in general. The players love them. The players want to fight for them. Like, I just think that matters, that you build up your players and don't purposely tear them down. And honestly, and what comes to mind
Harbaugh's
there
got
is
like
Andy
that
Reid. That story that you told a couple of weeks ago on air about Andy Reid going out and yelling at the quarterback, even though he's like, "Hey, I'm acting like I'm yelling at you, but really, you did a good job on this play. But asshole over there wants me to yell at you, so act like you're scared and I'm yelling at you, but great job." You know what I mean? Like, dude, that's a coach to me. That is a freaking coach. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, and I agree with you. I think the coaching edge that Harbaugh gives the Chargers is really going to help them tomorrow.
It's significant.
Yeah. So that's my pick. I picked the Chargers to win this game. I think we all did.
You did
Yes. Absolutely. Unfortunately, have been on the receiving end of Harbaugh for a while, and so I pay a little bit closer to attention to him than most. Next up is the Steelers versus the Ravens. Steelers are plus 9.5. Over under is 43.5. Plus 360 if you're betting on the Steelers. Minus 470 if you're betting on the Ravens. And to be honest, whenever I watch the Ravens, I'm not like thoroughly impressed every time I watch them.
Yep. There are times where they're incredibly impressive, but it's definitely not all the time.
Why is it such a wave ride with that team?
Because Lamar Jackson is inconsistent. And he is. Like, he's a fantastically talented dude. But there's some times where he just overthrows a guy on a swing pass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you get him uncomfortable, if you get him out of where he wants to be.
It seems like it's weird because he has such a talented arm. But he just, like, doesn't have control of it sometimes.
Not
is what
always,
it seems
yeah.
like. It really feels that way. Like he throws a really nice spiral. He can throw the ball a mile.
Out of curiosity, Ken, how well has Lamar Jackson done in the playoffs?
Oh, no, he not well at all. He's 2-4 in his career, and his team averages 2 touchdowns less when he in the postseason than in the regular season.
Dang.
So the numbers are not good for a guy who's won 2 MVPs and on his way to a third.
Lamar has not gotten that choke label yet, but after tomorrow.
After losing a plus 9.5 point spread.
Well, and on that point
spread's
spread,
ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
That spread's ridiculous.
Like I expected it to be like 5.5, 6. 10
Yeah.
is ridiculous.
Yes, because
and I do want
winning-
to start out. It started at 10 and went down, got down to 9.5. Like
in this
smart money
series,
is on
winning
that.
by 7 is a blowout. Like, in this series, winning by 7 is a
Yeah,
blowout.
yeah.
You know. So yeah, that's crazy. That's the craziest line I've seen.
I was really shocked by the line, I must admit.
That being said, Russ was $5,600 on DraftKings or something like that, and I'm not touching it.
But he's been there before. He's
Yes.
been to 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
So he's even been outside of these games.
Well, and I expect Russ to have a good game, but a good game for Russ for us isn't necessarily a good fantasy game. You know what I mean?
Right, no,
Like
yeah.
if he scores, if he passes for a touchdown and has 225 yards, and we had 2 touchdowns run in, like great.
That was a great game, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, that means you guys scored over 20 points.
Yeah,
It was a great
like,
game.
we're not counting on Russ to throw 3 touchdowns a game. That's just
So that's
not
if
what
you
we're
guys can
doing.
score over 20 points tomorrow, I think you win.
Yep, I agree.
I just don't know how you're going to score 20 points tomorrow. I really don't. I just don't. I can't see it. I
think you guys can pull this off.
I'm gonna-
and honestly, now, like after talking about it, I'm kind of on the fence of where I want to pick on this game because Lamar Jackson is so up and down in the regular season,
just the way that he's
50-50 in the playoffs.
So I would
He's 2-4.
Yeah.
So.
to me
33.
this is the most
33.
consistent I've seen Lamar play has been this season.
Sorry.
Time to go for a walk.
It is time for go for a walk.
Dang, took a late walk.
He kind of got the Steelers monkey off of his back a little bit in the last game. Because that was the best he's played against the Steelers.
Agreed.
So he's got that going for him. And he just seems to have another level of motivation. And whenever he's answering questions and stuff like that, he's just very obviously focused on the main goal.
What's the season record between these 2 teams?
They're 1-1.
They're 1-1.
1-1 this year.
Lamar just won.
They both won at home. They both won at home.
But
And-
if you look at the last 10 games that we've played,
It's like 2
Steelers
and 8.
are 8-10.
Yeah, 8-2.
Yeah.
Am I gonna
8 out
pick
of
a
10.
Sorry, I interrupted
8 out
you.
of
I messed
10.
it up.
I think you
You're
guys might have
completely right.
walked me into the Steelers pick. This
No, I want my lone wolf, man.
He wants to loan.
I don't
off on
know.
his team.
We went
Ruin
that
it for
whole
him, Ray.
fantasy season of.
It makes more sense
I
if you
had
both
Lamar
pick against
Jackson.
me because I'm usually the one that's wrong. So
No, now he's making even more sense.
this year, and I am picking the Ravens in this game.
I figured you were.
That's
And
more about Derrick Henry than it is Lamar, though.
Can see that.
The thing about like Lamar Jackson is I had him on fantasy I think last year, and the dude was up and down. I just didn't
And he
know
crushed
when
you in the
to
playoffs.
play the freaking
Last
guy.
year, if I remember last
You
year,
know?
he crushed people in the playoffs. But this year, he did the opposite. He crushed for you in the playoffs this year. It was unreal. So he's been on fire. So I'm not going to pick against him. I'm going to feel real bad for him actually if he goes out and chokes tomorrow.
Me too.
So he's been clicking. He's been clicking these past few games.
Well, the thing is he's had guys go in and out all year long.
Yeah.
Like the only person he's consistently had with him has been Derrick Henry, and he's just been making it work.
Yeah, the
Whether
last
it was
month he has looked very good.
where it was
I
Mark
completely
Andrews early in the season being nowhere to be found, and just it didn't matter.
Yeah.
He was still finding people. Like he made Rashad Bateman look like
Rashad Bateman was a fringe starter this year.
he scored 9 touchdowns this year.
That's what I'm saying.
And so I think he's a sleepy play in DFS tomorrow. I mean, I don't know about sleepy now with Zay Flowers being out, but
Right.
he's really good value. I'm not going to go there.
I wouldn't honestly. If you're looking for value on for the Ravens this week, I think it would be the tight ends.
Yeah,
I think
100%.
it's either
I think it's
Andrews
likely.
or likely.
I think
would
that
tend toward likely.
I think the Steelers have to focus their attention on Mark Andrews first.
I completely
and
agree.
I think that's going to open up opportunities for Isaiah Likely this week.
Yes.
And then on the other side, it's what's interesting now is Najee gets so much crap for not being like a top 5 fantasy producer or whatever, but I saw this statistic. There are only I think 3 players to have over the last 4 years to have over 4,000 rushing yards and over 1,000 receiving yards, and he's on that list.
Yeah. Just barely, but he's there.
But and he's had 4 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons to start his career.
And they're 1,050, 1,020. So he's right there. So he's averaging 60, 70 yards a game. You know what I mean?
I
So
saw.
he's one of those he's one of those running backs that is decent. He's good, but he's just like you're on your fantasy team. You're just like, man, I don't know if I want to put him in or not. He's right on that edge.
Yeah, it's hard. You just gotta kind of like plug your nose and do it.
Yeah.
And some weeks it's gonna be like 8 points, and some weeks it's gonna be 20.
Yep.
But the Ravens' defense has been better against the ground, better against the run than they have the pass. It's just that the Steelers don't have the weapons to threaten them through the air. Like
I hope we've been ignoring the middle of the field all year long, just so that way this game will
Freiermuth's
surprise
been
everybody.
killing it the last couple of weeks, so he's not going to surprise anybody tomorrow. I don't think. I wouldn't be surprised if Freiermuth has a great game. And it's almost like they should have figured that out. Like before the season started, that Freiermuth was a weapon. We all knew it. There's a reason he's got his own T-shirt.
Right.
That's the one you should have wore tonight. Was the Muse
dirty.
shirt. But he is the player that I have the most confidence in tomorrow for the Steelers. Is the Muth.
I can see that.
But man, the guy who really has to step up is George Pickens.
I almost picked him up on DraftKings.
He has to have a big game tomorrow. Like, if I think you guys you got to take a shot early. You have to do that, and silence the crowd, get some momentum going, and he's your guy.
Yeah.
And so and that's another. I said if you score 20 points tomorrow, you have a good shot at winning. And if you're going to score 20 points tomorrow, you need to score early, and Pickens needs to be involved the entire game.
And we need to win the turnover battle. If we're not +1 in turnovers, we probably aren't going to win this one. And I'll say that right now.
And that's
but
the
I
thing.
think if we're +1, we're 70% chance to win.
And that's the biggest thing about Lamar this year is the turnovers, is the lack of turnovers.
Yeah.
I think he had 5 interceptions this year.
Oh God! But the last time that we played and when we made him put the ball on the ground twice, and they freaking got lucky and got the ball back. But like we know how to get the ball away from Lamar. So I'm excited. I'm excited about tomorrow.
I'm excited
me
to
too.
watch tomorrow.
And I'm gonna, after just thinking about it, I'm gonna go with the
You're
Ravens.
gonna give him his lone wolf.
Yeah, mostly because of Derrick Henry being on the field.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
I'm gonna go ahead and go with that. But I would not be surprised if the Steelers won, and I would not take the 9.5 point. I would take the Steelers in the 9.5.
Yes, I will take the points.
I do have a hat bet on 10, and I get the 10 points.
Really?
With Cameron, yeah.
That guy just makes a lot of bad decisions when he's dealing with you, doesn't he?
We'll see.
Come
see
on,
tomorrow
Cam.
night.
Don't let him bully you into stupid decisions. You need to talk to somebody before you make a decision with Brian anymore.
Just like the trade earlier this year.
That's what I'm talking about.
This was his idea.
Hey, Ken, actually, I have a request of you for next season. That reminds me of just this. Can we do a pick'em next year?
Oh, yes, I'll set it up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
So-
I'll set it up.
Like in the league.
Yeah, in
I see what
the
you're
league,
saying.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't care if it's a no buy-in, $5 buy-in. I don't care. Like, I to just have something to track. would be just awesome.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't know if you can set it up, but maybe even make it like an open invitation. It doesn't have to be just us 12. If we do it for $0,
I'm not sure.
I don't know how those things work either.
Yeah, I'd have to dig into it. I can't really speak to that. But yes, we can definitely do that. I know
Maybe we could pull people in.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Like use that as some sort of a little bit of a marketing. All right. So next up we have the Denver Broncos versus the Buffalo Bills.
my favorite time slot of the weekend.
What is it? 10
10 a.m.
on
Sunday when football's supposed to happen.
So Denver Broncos plus 8.5. Over under is 47.5. Plus 340 if you're betting on the Broncos is the money line. Minus 440 if you're betting on the Bills. A lot of people over the past week and a half were upset about how Kansas City pretty much eliminated the Bengals.
There was some,
and
there was a lot of crap about that.
you know what?
The funniest. So did you? See,
Let me say my piece real quick because I this is something that I'm on all the time. And as soon as I say it, you're going to be like, yep. Shitty franchises do not belong in the playoffs or in the Super Bowl. And I've been on this, that the Bengals are a shitty franchise. They do not, they were going to be one and done. They got there on a fluke. And they're slowly tapering off. They
Burrow's
held on.
not.
They held
Joe
on.
Burrow
Hey,
is not.
Hey, and that's his fault. He should have let them franchise tag him until he was a free agent and signed with a legit team. And he could have.
He should have forced a trade to Dallas.
He could have been the guy. Yes,
that's
sure,
what he should have done.
I mean, he could have been the and this happens all the time to great talent. Okay. They chase the money. They end up on these teams to just die. These shitty franchises. That the only reason why they got them in the first place is because they're shitty and they got the number 1 pick and they get to take them. So that's my piece. You guys can talk about the game now.
Funniest thing I saw, one of the funniest things I saw this week that wasn't from Antonio Brown was a post from like a Chiefs page or something like that. And it was Bengals resting starters in week 19. But yeah, there was some stupid conspiracy, like not conspiracy, but football conspiracy stuff. Like the Chiefs deliberately folded in week 18 so they didn't have to play the Bengals, like they were worried about the goddamn.
Even if they did, that was their intention. Who cares?
Yes.
Bring the chess on.
Yeah, and I'll
Bring
say
the chess
and,
on.
yeah, and I'll say the same. I'll say what everybody should have said in response to that. September games count too.
Yes.
Yes. Start better. Because over the last 5 years, they have not had a winning record in September once. Not once. That you have to start better than that.
It's one of the reasons the NFL's got it over a lot of other sports because it's short, 18 games, 17 actually, 18 weeks.
They need to fix that. It needs to go to 18.
They need
17 is stupid.
They need to make them count. You need to make them count.
Yes, all of them count. They all count.
Sorry, Bengals.
Yep. Sorry, not sorry.
Certainly not sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
And and hey, you know what? Bo Nix deserves to be in the playoffs.
I agree with that. And just going back to the Chiefs thing, like you're letting your divisional opponent get another game and get a worse pick in the draft.
Yeah.
And it means nothing to you.
Yes.
Why wouldn't
Yes.
you? You want them to win.
It was win-win-win all over the place for them. Yeah. So there was somebody I responded to on X this week. It was about Bo Nix, and they had retweeted someone saying that Bo Nix didn't have any arm talent. It was something about not having an NFL arm, and this was a prominent person in sports media. No, this just happened this week.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm not sure when the original tweet that was retweeted was from. To be honest with you, I didn't check that.
Like I would have agreed with that in week 3, but now after watching them, I'm like, hell no.
The person that I wouldn't have. The person that posted it was mocking that person, and then my response was, while watching the college tape, I said this on this podcast that I thought that Bo Nix was the most dynamic passer while on the run. Particularly to his left, while rolling to his left. I thought it was extremely impressive how he was able to put the ball where he wanted to with with zip while running left, because it's just hard to do. And the person responded, well, the numbers bear that out because he led the league in passing yards while out of the pocket this year.
Yeah, I remember hearing that.
Bo Nix is an excellent quarterback.
He's starting to look real good. Yeah.
Now the situation matters too. We've seen that with Darnold. So getting Sean Payton as his coach, it was just perfect.
Yes.
So the Broncos got something cooking, and there's a bunch of people who are giving them a good shot to win tomorrow. And there's another. I love statistics that seem impossible and are just hilarious. So Sean McDermott, much like myself, is a bald man. Sean Payton is 34-12 against bald head coaches.
Well, there's a stat that means something. I tell you what.
I love stats.
Isn't
like
that great?
I love stats like
that. Doesn't that kind of make you want to pick the Broncos?
No.
It's got it a little bit. Hey. Because you're looking at the Bills
As a bald man, that makes me want the Broncos to lose even more. Okay.
That's funny. Well, I mean, yeah, I get that too. That makes sense. I don't think it's going to happen. Obviously, I wouldn't be wearing my Josh Allen jersey tonight if I thought he was going to be losing this weekend. So I'm not going to be picking that to happen. But I am a little more worried for him, than I would have been.
Well, the Broncos have the most sacks this year, right?
Quarterback pressure. Yes.
They have the best contained defense, do they not?
They're up there.
Statistically, don't they?
I'm not sure if it's the best, but if not, it's top 5.
They didn't have a great end of the season. At the end of November, they were a top 5 defense. I don't know where they finished.
Pretty sure they finished top 5. I don't know if they finished top
think so.
3.
No, I think they were somewhere around 10.
Wow.
We could look that up. We've got time. We can take a shot first if you want to.
There you go.
Is it a shot? Are we taking a shot or are we sitting?
He
sipping?
sips out of a shot.
I know
glass.
you sip.
You guys do what you want.
I know you sip.
Cheers.
Much love, brothers.
Yes. The drinking boys are back.
How it was meant to be.
Yes, sir.
This is actually my favorite time slot of all the time slots we do. This is like my absolute favorite.
I agree, and I would like us to go back to doing it.
Yeah, it just didn't work because of schedules.
Yeah.
Last
Yeah.
year. So
This is much more
hopefully
fun.
this upcoming year we'll be able to.
We'll see what
squeeze
happens.
it in. Yeah,
Let's just say we'll see what
exactly.
happens.
Yeah, we're 3 working guys with kids, man. We'll see what we can work out.
And we were doing great this year. It doesn't look like we're gonna miss.
Yeah.
A week, and we
that feels
just
fantastic.
just pat ourselves on the back on that one. We freaking pulled it together this year,
So, I little aside here, personal, still sports related, obviously football stuff. I made what I feel is a steal of a trade in. So the Iron Throne, that guy, Big Daddy. Mm-hmm. He runs a league, tight end premium league. No, yeah, it's a tight end premium league, and I'm in that one. And I traded him a third and a future second for Marvin Mims.
A third and a future second, so gave up basically garbage for Mims. Yeah, that's worth the price. I don't think that's a steal like you're saying, but Mims is more of a prospect than the second.
I like Mims a lot. I liked him coming out of college.
He has potential,
So
but is he ever going to be like an all-the-time starter for you in your dynasty lineup?
Yeah, I think so.
Or is he like a fringe flex guy?
I think so. I think he has. So Cortland Sutton is going to age out.
How old is he?
29.
Really? I didn't realize he was that old.
Yeah.
Wow, he's been doing.
And Mims is still
nothing in
22
Denver for a long time.
Mims is still 22. 22 or 23.
This is his second year.
Third.
Wow.
Yes. And this is he made his second Pro Bowl. As a kick returner.
Okay, as a kick returner. I'm like, the Pro Bowl's become such a joke now. I'm just like,
well, okay. once we get there, by the time we get to the Pro Bowl, it's a joke. But when all of the guys are announced who made the Pro Bowl, I still take that seriously.
Sure. Why wouldn't you?
80%.
Yeah.
Because it's votes.
It's always been that
it's
way.
It's popularity
It's
votes
always
from
been that
people who
way.
don't know. It's like that doesn't really.
It's
count.
always been that way.
Tyler Huntley made the Pro Bowl. That's all I have to say.
That he didn't get voted into the Pro Bowl. He was like the third or fourth alternate. So by the time we get to the Pro Bowl,
Still a problem, son.
I agree with you. But
Still a problem.
but when they announce the guys in December, it's still a big deal. There's not a ton of slots.
Right.
It's only like 4 receivers or something like that. Teams carry more than that. You get. Do they even pick a fullback anymore for the Pro Bowl? I know they do for All Pro.
Did Baker Mayfield make the Pro Bowl?
He should have. I hope so.
I think he missed it, right?
I don't. I know somebody got snubbed, but it better not have been.
Baker.
It better not have been Baker because he deserves it. What a year!
Dude, 40 touchdowns plus. I mean, come on, man. Yeah, no, I agree with that.
And when they had to have it, he had 9 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks or something like that. Yeah, Baker Mayfield was fantastic.
And real quick, going back to the Denver defense, as far as yards per game, they dropped down to number 7 in the league.
Boom.
But as far as touchdowns allowed per game, they're still number 2.
What about sacks?
That's a good one to know.
God dang it.
I know they were up there. I think they were the highest in pressure rate, is what I saw. But I don't think Josh Allen cares.
You don't care if he gets sacked.
It's going to take more than one guy most of the time. Josh Allen is like an in-shape Ben Roethlisberger, which you guys never got. He had a double chin every year, dude. He was never in shape.
That's how he stayed upright, man. So much weight, you know?
He could
That's why nobody can knock him down.
He could have been like 20 pounds lighter and been Josh Allen.
As of today, AI is reporting that the Denver Broncos lead the league with 63 sacks.
Yeah, I knew it was a lot. Yeah.
So, top-notch defense there.
Yeah, no, they are. They're a great defense, and they got Vic Fangio leading that defense.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing for me is on the other side, Sean McDermott is a really talented defensive coach, the head coach for the Bills, and I think he's going to be able to. I think he's going to be able to cause enough problems for Bo Nix that Bo Nix doesn't look as good as he's looked over the last month. That's my expectation.
So
I would be surprised if the Broncos go in there and play well on offense. Yeah. They might only lose 20-10, but I don't think they're extremely competitive in this game.
And here, to me, I do like Denver. I do like what they're doing. I do like Bo Nix. I love their defense. But Buffalo is on another level.
Josh Allen's on another level.
I think Buffalo, the team, might be the best in.
Yes, I agree.
In the NFL right now.
They're my pick to make it out of the AFC.
I can absolutely see why.
I think if it comes down to Buffalo, Kansas City, Buffalo will take them. If that scenario happens.
Buffalo should have got past them 2 years ago.
Pittsburgh, but.
Well, then they'll definitely win.
So if you're curious out there, what are the top 10, the team's top 10, according to AI, the Denver Broncos at 63 sacks, Baltimore Ravens, I don't know if you guys would consider this a close second. I wouldn't.
Like
Baltimore
57.
Ravens at 54 sacks.
That's not a close second.
Dallas Cowboys at 52. You see a lot tighter scenario here.
I didn't realize the Cowboys had so many sacks. And I told you on the way here, Michael Parsons had an incredible year for a guy who missed like 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, he did.
And wasn't 100% when he came back.
Vikings at 49, Texans at 49, Tampa Bay at 46, Los Angeles Chargers. There's not even the Rams. The Chargers, the San Diego Chargers. Let's not make no mistakes there. 46 sacks, 45 sacks for the Giants. Green Bay's at 45, and Seattle's at 45.
Where's Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh, I can ask. Let's see here.
What the hell?
It seems like they get
How are we not in that?
because you only have 3 guys that are doing it. It's hard. So give those guys each 12 sacks, and you're still in the bottom third of the league.
So where are we at?
It's calculating right
sorry.
now. And let's see. Pittsburgh's at 40 sacks.
40. Wow.
That's low.
It feels like much more. Huh.
You're talking about less than 2.5 per game.
Yeah.
That's low for the Steelers.
That is low. I'm shocked to hear that number. I really thought we were much higher than that.
A little bit more confident in my Ravens pick. So I'm based off of what I'm getting over here is we're all going Bills.
Yes, sir.
So have you guys all said
Those
what
are
you need
Micah
to say?
Parsons numbers.
Oh, okay. I was like, what am I looking at?
Lawrence Taylor did not reach 10 sacks until his 4th season.
No, that's good. I'm looking for games played here. And for those listening, it's he starts off with 13 sacks, 13 and a half, 14 and 12, which is
And 12 in how many games?
impressive for that's what I was looking for is how many games.
Yeah, I think
don't
he
see
played
the
10
stat on
games
here.
this year, 10 or
So,
11.
Yeah, the stat's not there, but yeah. No, very impressive.
Yeah.
He's good.
He's good. He is pretty good. That
So
number
are
11 guy.
we comfortable with where we're leaving the Bills and the Broncos?
I think so.
Was there anything else that we got the bald stat in there? Yeah, we talked about Bo Nix. I think not enough attention's being paid to James Cook in this game.
Good point. Very good point.
And I think he's going to have
16 touchdowns on the year, is that right? Or 15?
I think it was 16. It was a lot.
It's right there.
I
which
believe
is
he was like tied for
huge.
first until Gibbs had his monster
right.
game.
Yeah.
What was who are you guys asking about?
Cook,
James Cook. It was a lot of touchdowns though. I just traded him too, in I think the Iron Throne. I just traded him away. Did you see that trade?
No, what'd you get?
Let me pull that up.
17 touchdowns.
The other guy I wanted to talk about real quick was Amari Cooper. This is why they got Amari Cooper
Was the playoff
for
run?
the playoff run.
Because he has not been doing a lot up to
wa-
this point.
He's
been the invisible
made
man.
a couple of fantastic plays where it's like, okay, yeah, Amari Cooper's still a dude. It's just that I think he's been banged up this year.
Yeah.
And I think they've been managing him so that they can make this playoff run. So I would not at all be surprised if Amari Cooper just goes off.
I wonder what he's going for in DFS. I didn't even consider him.
I think he's right around 6K.
Okay, that's way too much. Never mind.
There were not good options once you got below 5,500 for running backs or receivers. Like I'm playing one. There were a couple that I liked, but
right.
they're very questionable.
Sorry, who was I looking up? It was.
Cooper, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so I got Chris Olave and Mac Jones.
No, Cooper's only 49. That makes more sense.
Okay,
All right.
that's a good play tomorrow. That's a really with there only being 6 games, that's essentially a punt play. You know, in terms of like if as a third wide receiver,
Interesting.
and I think it's a good one. So yeah, I traded James Cook in our Superflex tight end premium for Mac Jones and Chris Olave.
Okay.
You like?
Yeah, I do. Mostly on the Olave side, I think that you're buying low on him. His career's only going to get better.
And I think Spencer Rattler's
James
gonna
Cook,
start
you're
next
selling
year.
high because James Cook this is going to be his career high in touchdowns.
Yeah,
mean,
there's
I'll bet good money on that.
I will not touch that. I'm not putting a Bowmore on that.
No, you sure?
Yeah, and Chris Olave had 2,000-yard seasons to start his career, and then they just shut him down early this season. You know, there was no real reason to bring him back. I thought Spencer Rattler played some decent football, especially when you consider that he had nothing
around him.
work
Like,
with.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
thought he
nothing.
played some real solid football.
Dude, Tampa, right? I mean, took Tampa to the limit.
Yep.
Tampa had to win. Tampa's been looking good for weeks.
Yeah.
And they almost lost to the Saints with Rattler as quarterback and no weapons. No, honestly, because we were texting back and forth during the game a little bit during that, and Rattler was like, whoa, he is taking strides. So
I was all over it.
yeah, I know you are. So like, if he really becomes a thing in the next couple of years, I hope you take a couple of victory laps for that one because you made a major stand on him
Yeah.
and
Bo Nix. I was big on Bo Nix too. Like we can go back and listen to the
Rattler was your guy.
Rattler was my guy.
Rattler is the one I'm giving you
I
credit
said that
for.
if I was a GM, what I said specifically was that if I was a GM who was looking for a quarterback last year, that's what I would have done. Is I would not have paid the premium.
Picked him up in the third or fourth. Yeah, I remember.
And so yeah, I think the Saints got a steal.
It's starting to look that way. He definitely,
He just needs a coach.
especially in that last game, he looked better than Carr.
They need yes.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he does. Bye bye, Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Well, and actually, welcome home, Derek Carr too. He just announced that he's coming home to Fresno. His family is they've finished their forever home in Fresno, and so he's coming home. Cool. So, yeah, maybe he'll go play in like.
Why would he come home to Fresno? I mean,
It's where home is. Well, home for him is Bakersfield. And would you go back there? Fresno's an upgrade over Bakersfield.
yes.
Because I mean, you can take the boy out the valley, but you can't take the valley out the boy.
All right.
Is Derek Carr done playing?
No. He's he's probably done in New Orleans because he's not going to take a pay cut. He made that announcement, and if you're in New Orleans, it's like, why would you continue? Well, you had 2 years of this, and
who would
I
take
don't
him?
want another.
huh?
Who's going to take him?
Oh, the Browns could.
I was going to say there's definitely 2 or 3 teams.
Oh, I'm sure there's teams.
If I was the Saints, that's what I would try and do. I'd say I would be willing to eat some of his salary and ship him off to Cleveland because Deshaun Watson tore his Achilles again.
Did anybody see how he did that?
No, it was, and it's crazy. I'm hoping, like for Browns fans, because the Browns were once a proud franchise.
When?
Back in the days of Jim Brown,
They were proud.
Before my time. And I'm 50.
They
Okay.
were
I'll tell you what,
proud.
if
they were a proud franchise.
If the Super Bowl had been played since 1950, the Browns would still be leading the league in championships. Because between 1950 and 1964, they had like 9.
It's pretty good.
They were the Detroit Red Wings of football. Before the Packers dynasty came along, it was the Browns. And even after the Packers, even after Vince Lombardi got to Green Bay, it took a few years. It was still the Browns.
I'm glad I wasn't alive back then.
Dude, are you kidding? I would have loved to watch Jim Brown play football live. Jim Brown, it's hard. I always go to Barry Sanders being the best running back of all time.
For sure.
That's because I didn't watch Jim Brown. I've only seen highlights. But they're good highlights.
Yeah. But they're also highlights from, however many
But for
years
me, it's
ago
also
when
like
players were different.
Barry
so.
Barry was a good pass catcher as well. I think his season averages or something like that was like over 1,600 yards, every year combined rushing and receiving, which is absurd for a guy who played 10 years.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think we're ready to move on from the Bills and the Broncos.
So up is the next 3 games, NFC, where things are interesting. Not that nothing else is interesting, but this is just more interesting to me. First up, Green Bay Packers and Philadelphia Eagles. Packers are at plus 5.5. Over-unders at 45.5. Plus 190 if you're betting on the Packers. Minus 230 if you're betting on the Eagles.
This is the game I feel the most confident about.
And
The Eagles are going to
gonna win.
destroy them.
And that's what first thing I was going to say is I was really surprised at the line when I saw this one.
It's like 3.5 or something like that. It's
It
close.
seems like the Eagles should be like
2
seven
touchdown
and
favorites. This is the one that should have been 10.
point favorites.
To me, this is the one that should have
I
been
could
10.
see this one being 10. Yes. And
It
the
had
4.5
to have been
doesn't
based
make a
on
lot of
Jalen
sense.
Hurts not being when the lines came out.
Right.
Jalen Hurts not having cleared the protocol.
But I
if
would
you-
have bet so much money that he's going to play in
Same.
this game.
Same. There's no way they were going to go in there with what's his name? Tanner McKee.
And the NFL in general, they'd be like, wait, that doctor said no on him? Oh, well, let's get another doctor here. I mean,
If you're the
that's
NFL,
what's going to happen.
Yeah. Saquon Barkley. So Saquon Barkley not getting an opportunity to break the single season rushing record, I think, is probably the worst thing that could have happened to the rest of the NFC for this playoff run. because he's going to take it out on everybody else.
Think he's running angry, yeah?
I think he's running angry, and I think he's, I mean,
This was a waste if I don't get the Super Bowl.
yes,
It's
exactly.
got to be what he's thinking.
I could
yeah.
not have said it better.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think it's going to be fun to watch Saquon Barkley this postseason, I think.
I think so, too.
Packers are without their best cornerback and without their most dangerous receiver.
Without their field stretcher, yep.
And
they haven't been playing good.
Jordan Love is banged up. So unless we think that Josh Jacobs is somehow going to get through what I think was like the second or either the first or second best team against the run this year.
Yep.
Sorry, Packers fans. One and done.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
And so the Packers finished the season, 11-6? Is that right?
Sounds right.
Four of those losses.
Yeah.
4 of those losses were to the Vikings and Lions. They went 0-4 against the 2 better teams in their division.
Right.
All of a sudden, Bezzy, you want to join us?
Hey,
huh?
what's up, Bezzy?
Busy.
Happy New Year, buddy.
Let's see here.
Missed you last week, man.
He is going Chargers. He's going Ravens, and he's going Eagles.
It's a true lone wolf. Lone pup.
I'll take it.
When your team is a 9.5 point underdog, it's got to be a pup, right?
I'm going to enjoy this win. I'm going to enjoy it.
I'm not going to be upset if you guys win.
I know.
Like it,
I hope you do win. I'm hoping you guys win.
It's definitely more interesting if you guys win.
Yeah.
So,
honestly, is it though? Because honestly, I don't see the Ravens getting past the Chiefs, and I don't see them getting past the Bills. So, is it that interesting?
They're going to win
Actually,
one and be
yeah,
done.
dude,
in
You know,
second.
if they're still like
I think the Chiefs are going to lose.
to who?
I don't think
Whoever gets
there,
yeah, I think they're going to lose.
I don't think they're going to win.
I
either.
think it's going to be hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, chances are the Steelers, once we win, we're probably going to play the Chiefs. So you're probably right.
Yeah, you guys are the 6th seed, so it's
Yeah.
fair,
So
yeah,
only if
yeah.
the 7th seed wins.
The only way that you don't play the Chiefs if you win is if the Broncos win tomorrow or on
Exactly.
Sunday.
Which
I
we don't
just
see
find that
happening.
we don't see
weird
that.
win streak continuing into the playoffs
What's that?
for KC. You know.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, they
Just
gave
their ability to squeak everything out. You mean
they lost 38-0 to the Broncos.
in a meaningless game
Sure,
with no starters?
sure. But that's still really bad. That's still really bad because, like I said, you can only sit so many guys. So it's not like they sat their entire defense and their entire offense. They had to play some of their dudes, and they got beat 38-0. That's I'm sorry if they had lost like 20-0, 24-0, but 38 is a lot, and they
I
looked
really don't put
really,
anything to
really
that.
bad.
All right. They were told to lose, man. I mean, they did it well. What's your problem?
Yeah, Andy before the game, he's like, look, the NFL is going to come down on us if we lose 17-16 and something happens at the end of the game. So let's just not even try.
No, he's got to be okay. We're not starting any starters, all the second stringers, and hey, guys, we're going to play all vanilla plays. We're not going to do anything unusual. We're going to run the ball up the middle 80% of the game, no matter what the score is. You know what I mean? Like that's why wouldn't you? Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, so what are you guys thinking here? I'm thinking Eagles, but I want the Packers to win so bad,
Yeah, you do.
and I'm like I'm feeling my heart start tugging my mind, but I'm not doing that. I'm gonna go Eagles on this.
Yeah, I think Eagles are going to crush on this one.
Crush.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think
I
the
think
Bills
so,
and
too.
the Eagles are both going to crush.
All right.
I'm less confident that the Bills are going to just crush the Broncos than I am that the Eagles are going to crush the Packers.
I think the Broncos are going to give the Bills a fit.
Yeah,
think they're gonna give
for
them a fit.
at least for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, dude, I've been drinking this too. I'm already feeling the head change.
What is the blue?
I mixed some rum. I mixed the blueberry. Obviously I did it for the Rams. I mixed that citrus right there, and I
it
put the
good?
grapefruit drink. Yeah, absolutely. if there's another grapefruit soda, mix yourself a drink. I mean, grabbing soda out of the fridge, you guys. You're more than welcome to that fridge. That's why it's here. And just mix yourself a drink. Make something up. I don't care. Next up, we got the Commanders and we got the Bucks. The Commanders are +3, over-unders 50.5, +142 if you're betting on the Commanders, -170 if you are betting on the Bucks. You guys put just as much alcohol, I think, over the years on that thing than that I have on there. So, by all means, help yourselves.
This is the game to watch.
I was gonna say,
This is the game I'm most excited to watch.
well, second, but
Right. For you guys, it should be the second game that you're most excited to watch. But for me, this is the game I am most excited to watch because I've just been having so much fun watching Baker Mayfield this year. He has just been playing out of his mind.
doesn't it feel like this game's going to be like 35 to
Yes,
37
it
and
does.
come down to the last minute,
does.
last second of overtime or something like that? Like, that's what it feels like. 38-35 overtime. Like, that's what I'm predicting here. Like that. That's the kind of game.
Yeah,
that
this
I
is
think gonna
the
happen.
I think most of the other games are going to be under. They're under the over/under, but this one I don't think you can set it high enough.
I think the Commanders. I want the Commanders to win. I want the Green Bay to win, so we get another home game. But I think it's too soon for the Commanders to make a run.
Most important
Think
stat
so?
for this
Yeah, I mean they've been struggling since the name change. No, I'm just kidding. They've been struggling so much, and it's like, be thankful you made it. But I think this is where the road stops. You know what I mean? That's not to say that next season isn't a stronger season.
For sure.
I think they're on an upward trend here, but I think great you made it. But this is where it ends, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, what's that mixture again? Sorry.
I'm sorry, what?
What was that mixture you had again?
I did some Malibu rum on the bottom. There you go. And the two blue bottles on the left and right. You got the blueberry there.
This one. And
Yep.
this one.
Nope, all the way to the right.
All right.
Yeah.
Folks at home are going to have a hard time copying that drink. A little of
think
this
I
and a little of that.
What is it? Read
and
the
that
bottle
too.
to me.
It's blue curacao.
It's what?
That's blue curacao.
Blue curacao.
And the other one's De Kuyper.
There you go.
So yeah, I don't have a problem believing this drink's gonna taste good.
Oh yeah, it tastes great. You can't.
looks
Every
good.
time you throw Malibu in the cup, you can't fuck it up.
Yeah, hard to.
Yeah.
Malibu just tastes so good. So I think the most important stat of this game is that Washington is the third worst team against the run this year. They gave up almost 140 yards on the ground.
So you're predicting a big day for Mr. Bucky Irving?
I am, and like you know what was crazy? Remember we were picking our DraftKings lineups last week, and Ray picked Rashad White, and I said I thought that was a really sneaky play.
Yeah, I remember.
Because the Bucks were gonna get in front of them, and then they're gonna sit Bucky Irving, and you're just gonna see a lot of Rashad White. 0 touches.
Yeah. I was like, what the heck?
0 touches.
I got 85 points last week.
Yeah.
I've never, traditionally over the years, I've never really been good at DraftKings.
You had a much better season.
I have some
I was
good
going to say,
gigs.
this year you did a lot better.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So anybody who didn't hear me, the Commanders give up about 140 yards per game on the ground, and so I think the Buccaneers are going to pound them. I think that's the way that they're going to the best way to neutralize a dynamic quarterback on the other side is keep him on the bench.
I agree.
And so I think the Buccaneers are well equipped to pound them on the ground and dink and dunk them for first downs when they need to, because you've got one of the best possession receivers of all time in Mike Evans. And a couple things. One, we get another Evans versus Lattimore matchup.
We do.
Marshawn
we do.
Lattimore is a commander. It's been very unexciting.
Well,
But he plays really well against Mike Evans, and they have had a lot of battles.
yes, but Lattimore is a little hurt. He's been banged up all year.
has
He's
been.
not been
Yes.
playing real well.
And so
He's not at his peak.
I'm picking Mike Evans in this battle.
Right.
In this particular Lattimore-Evans matchup, I'm
Which
picking Mike
is
Evans.
significant because Lattimore usually shuts his ass down.
I would say
Like, shuts
yes.
him down.
Well, Mike Evans has gotten his shots in too and has had a couple of good games.
Has
It's-
he?
Yes.
Okay.
It's more often than not that Lattimore wins the battle.
That's what I remember.
But also, he was a part of a really good Saints defense, whereas this Commanders defense is kind of like they're just a mashed up unit of like veterans and unproven guys, and that's good sometimes too. It's just that I don't. This is not the team that you wanted to play against this week. I don't think the Buccaneers have just been scoring on everybody. Because Baker's been playing that well.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
if Josh Allen,
but their defense has not been playing that well, and so everybody's been able to score on Tampa, which has made the Tampa game
which is
so
another
exciting.
reason why I think that Tampa Bay is going to run the ball a lot in this
Right.
game. I think I would be surprised if Baker Mayfield has 30 plus attempts in this game.
All right.
But yeah, Bucks going to win.
Okay.
I got Bucks.
It's funny because fantasy wise, we're thinking alike, but I think that Washington is going to take it out in the end, man. I think
the Buccaneers did beat them in week 1.
agreed
At home.
in week 1, Jaden's first game. To me, this is the first and probably only like true coin flip of the week. Like to me, this one is a coin flip.
So good.
This is 50-50. You could convince me either way on either team, honestly. I'm gonna go with Washington because I love McLaurin. I like Jaden Daniels and why not? But this is truly a 50-50 for me. I don't really have a preference either way. I think this is going to be a great offensive game, and I can't wait to watch it, honestly.
I agree.
That's the way I feel.
I agree with that. It wouldn't surprise me if the Commanders do pull this one out. I'm not, but
Right.
just the way that Baker's been playing, they're definitely going to be in the game. And I think if he has the ball in his hands at the end of the game, that they win.
Well, and honestly, either team, if they're 2 scores down going into the fourth quarter,
It's not over.
it's definitely not over.
Yeah.
Washington's and Tampa has proved that over and over. Like they can score when they
Jalen
need to.
McMillan, and it's like they don't win that game against the Saints without Jalen McMillan.
7 touchdowns in 6 games.
5.
Is it 5?
Yes.
Wow.
He had 8 touchdowns on the season. 7 of them came over the last 5 weeks.
Oh, okay.
He scored in 5
But I think
straight
he's only
games.
been like a true starter for the 6, so I think that's
He
what I
was
was
hurt.
throwing in there. Okay.
So he won the 3rd wide receiver job going into the season. To my chagrin, as a fan of Raheem Jarrett, and to anyone who was a fan of Trey Palmer, and expected them to get a boost going into the season when the roster cleared out a little bit, Jalen McMillan just stole that role, and I think if he hadn't been hurt for that, I think it was like 5 weeks or something like that, 4 or 5 weeks, he's probably, his numbers probably look better than Mike Evans. Because Baker likes Jalen McMillan.
Yes, but a big part of why McMillan has been able to get the action he's getting is because Mike Evans is taking the double coverage on the other side.
Mike Evans is not a guy who demands double coverage anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Seems like his season would say otherwise, man. He
Had
a really good
1,000.
season.
Like, he had like 1,004 yards.
Missing some games, and he's looked good. Like he's like passed the eye test all year long.
Mike Evans is so this was another like little thing that I got into. I saw somebody asking on X, Mike Evans is a top blank receiver, and I thought about it for a second, and I was like, and this is all time.
Oh, all time. Okay.
And I'm like, man, he's somewhere in the top 10.
Of all time?
Start naming them, dude, and then you get to guys who you're like, Mike Evans or this guy, real fast, faster than you might think, because once you get past
That doesn't seem.
so you have the top, you have the big 5, and that's Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, Calvin Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald. Okay, after that, go, and for me in the top 10, I got AB, Antonio Brown's in there for me.
Did you say Randy Moss?
Yes.
Okay.
I did. Okay. Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens, Calvin Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald. Those are my top 5.
Okay. So people I'd put above Evans. Let's see. I'd put Harrison above him. Marvin Harrison.
That's fair.
Antonio Brown.
No, but not Reggie Wayne. I wouldn't.
Yeah. I guess you have to go with their best seasons and stuff. Antonio Brown, because like he had
His
five,
6-year
six.
stretch is as good as anybody.
Right. But then his flame out is as good as anybody too.
You gotta love it.
But let's see, Isaac Bruce. I think I put Isaac Bruce
I
above
wouldn't
him.
put Isaac Bruce above him.
Michael Irvin. I think I put above
Terry
him.
Holt.
I love to hear that. Thank you.
Torrey Holt.
No.
No, I'd take Mike Evans over Torrey
Yeah.
Holt. But
And
it's fairly close.
I would take Mike Evans over Chris Carter. I would take Mike Evans over Art Monk, Steve Largent. And these are the guys.
Now you're right. Now here we are. We're on like number.
So we're
on like 14, but like Chris Carter, I'd have above him as well.
I wouldn't.
I don't. Yeah,
Chris Carter was an excellent possession receiver.
But when you start to get into like Andre Johnson, Andre Reed, Fred Blitnikoff, Hines Ward, James Lofton, Steve
He's
Smith
above those
Sr.,
guys.
He's above all those guys.
Yeah.
And that's at like the number 14. That really surprises me. But you are absolutely right. He is top 20 of all time. Probably top 15.
Yeah, if somebody had asked me that going into the season, I wouldn't have even thought.
Yeah.
I would have been like, he's top 25-ish or something like that.
I would have said top 50, 60, 70.
See?
That's crazy.
Sneaky.
But
Sneaky.
no, great. Mike Evans belongs there.
Good point.
And this was number 11 in a row, right? 1,000 yards. He tied Jerry
How many
Rice.
years?
11 straight years. Wow. He's never not had 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's never had more than I think he had 1,500 yards once. And other than that, he's never had more than 1,300 yards. So it's a lot of 1,000-yard seasons, but that's not easy to do.
Right.
You have to be on the field to do it. And Mike Evans has made some of the most spectacular catches that I can think of. Like there was this one primetime game where he makes this catch. It's not even a toe drag. It was like a toe drop. Like both of his toes dropped onto the ground when he made the catch, and he immediately got smacked in the face. Like it was I don't think the player who hit him got called for personal foul on the play, but it's one of the nastiest hits I can remember. It's every bit as bad as fucking AB's hit from Burfict a few years ago. And he just held onto the ball, and this is at the point he's probably in his like third year or something like that at this point. And I was like, this guy's a stud. I'm like I would take this guy on my team every day. So yeah, Mike Evans belongs somewhere in the top 10.
So we all going Bucks?
No, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Commanders on this one.
I hope you're right.
This is a coin flip for me. Like that's a nervous pick for me. But
You're gambling. I feel like you're gambling. I feel like if you're betting against Baker Mayfield at home right now against the Commanders, you're gambling.
In a 50-50 game, I'm gonna take the team that I want to win.
You want to win. Why do you want him to win over Baker?
Because I like Jaden Daniels and I like Terry McLaurin.
And last, but certainly not least, Minnesota Vikings.
Well, do we want to do the DraftKings before or after?
No, do it after.
We'll do it after, yeah.
Sounds good.
We don't have like afternoon games.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm just throwing it out there.
Minus 2.5 for the Vikings. Over under is 47.5. Minus 148 if you're betting on the Vikings. Plus 124 if you're betting on the Rams. Sam Darnold hasn't showed up in tough games with pressure.
I agree.
I'm going Rams, obviously, and confidently.
I felt so much more confident before the game got moved,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
but I am still picking the Rams to win this game.
Well, and you know what? I was honestly leaning towards Vikings before we really kind of started hashing this out and talking about it and really talking about how bad Sam Darnold looked, how he's been doing in these high pressure games and whatnot.
I was disappointed. I was just so disappointed.
Yeah.
Because we picked the Vikings to win that game. And if Sam Darnold plays like he's been playing all year long,
Right.
they do. They
Right.
easily win that game.
And so what Sam Darnold shows up is it
Exactly.
if the regular
You two picked them to win. I picked Detroit Lions last week.
yeah.
He did do that.
Yeah, I think you guys talked me into the Rams on this one. I'm gonna have to go with the Rams.
Boom.
Yeah, I just man, that Vikings defense is tough.
It is, and Brian Flores is definitely going to have a head coaching job next year. He's been great, and that's like
It's funny because you talked about
getting out from under the blacklist.
I almost
man.
brought him up earlier when we were talking about coaches building up players rather than tearing them down, because Tua had some things to say about Brian
That's true.
Flores, and how much like a lot of the reason he's had more success, the last couple of years is because of the different mentality that Mike McDaniel brings to coaching as opposed to Brian Flores.
That is a good point.
And Brian Flores is also kind of a thorn in the side of the league, from that that scandal with the
That's why he's on that
with
blacklist.
tanking and
Yep.
stuff like that. Yeah, so I don't necessarily agree with that, and I haven't heard anybody like.
Oh no, there's already been rumors about him getting interviews and whatnot.
Yeah, he shouldn't be.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, the track record of defensive coaches and how they've done as
hasn't been
opposed to
good.
offensive
Yeah,
coaches,
not lately.
Like
Hasn't
if
been
I'm a
good.
team like that, I'm looking for an offensive coach unless it's
If
one hell of a
that's
special coach.
If that is the only thing I'm deciding between, I love two coaching candidates, and one of them is an offensive mind and one of them is a defensive mind. I'm leaning offense right now.
yes.
The league is just set up more for offense right now. I told you guys I was I spent the week watching old playoff games and stuff like that, and it's crazy. There was absolutely no thought on what to do when it was 4th and 1 before 2000. 4th and 1, we're punting, we're kicking the field goal. Not even like
That's pretty funny.
Not even, and no one's even questioning whether you should go for it or anything like that.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because of how much better defenses were. Like a good season from a quarterback was anything over 60% completion. And it's just because the league is just set up different now. The league is just
The
set
rules
up.
have changed,
Yeah,
yeah.
the rules have changed. The league is just set up.
Absolutely.
For
And
offense.
the NFL knows what's exciting the majority of their fans.
They've done it for
And
a reason.
Majority of their fans.
Yeah.
And the
Thank
thing
you for
is,
pointing at me when you said that.
defense is not. A lot of people can't see what's going on the defense, just like a lot of people can't really see what's going on in jiu-jitsu, right? Because when you got jiu-jitsu and you got the fighting, so everybody sees stand-up fighting is more exciting when it's on your feet, and then when they go to the mat.
It's funny, I don't either. I'm also I'm more interested in their ability to maneuver in clinch situations and stuff like that. That to me, that's where the fight is. Like anybody can throw a punch. At that level. At that level, you should be able to throw a punch that can knock a guy out. But can you get out of a rear naked choke? Can you get out of a potential guillotine? Like those things, I get more excited about stuff like that.
And it's just one of those things is that it's just surface level versus depth. You know what I mean? And on the defensive side, now we're talking about depth. Can we see what's going on? And you know what? And there's nothing wrong with it. A lot of people are just casual fans, so they don't get to the
and
depth
a lot of
part
people
of it.
are fantasy football fans.
Yes.
So if all they're looking at is fantasy football, which hard to blame them. That's a lot of what we do, but like that's what you're looking for is points and points and points. And so the defensive game is just like, let's go on to something else. But if you're actually watching and enjoying a game, a good defensive game
It's exciting.
where it's 18-15, dude, that's fun. That's good stuff.
Where the teams are struggling to get first downs.
Yes.
That's a fun game.
And it's because the defenses are so good.
Yes, not because the quarterback's
teams
so
are-
bad.
Yes,
Yes,
not
yeah.
because teams are incompetent.
That's
yeah.
well, that's generally what it is. The quarterback is so bad that they they're inept. But yes, two great defenses, and like shutting down a great offense.
Yeah,
I love seeing that stuff.
I do too. Those are the best games if you're just watching that game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like what the Vikings defense did to the Lions for 3 quarters last week was phenomenal to watch. That was a great game, except for Sam Darnold.
Seeing ghosts again. Yeah.
and that's really what it felt like too.
It really did.
It really did.
It-
It really did. I hope for him that he has a better game.
So next up, we got the DraftKings lineup. I have my lineup pulled up.
Yeah. Let me
So I will just go ahead and go first. Banking on Mayfield having an exciting game, somewhat of a comeback from last
Baker?
week. I am picking. Did I? What did I say?
banking on Baker Mayfield having.
Yeah. Okay. So I did say it right. I picked him up at 6,800. Wasn't that expensive. Najee Harris from Pittsburgh. I expect some groundwork being done over there. And I picked up Williams from LA. Their backup running back is injured, so I would expect him to get
all the work. Yeah,
he's going to get all the work. And then I picked Coleman as more of a punt. I needed to save some money.
I've got
on
him
salary
too.
cap. So
Yeah.
Wait, who's this?
Keon Coleman.
Oh, okay, Keon. All right.
And then
he hasn't put up great numbers yet, but he's had 7 and 10
He's had some
targets
games,
over the
yeah.
last couple weeks, and Josh has been looking for him. So
And of course, I picked up Nakua. Minnesota is ranked 32 in blocking wide receiver, so I picked up Nakua.
Out of how many? At 32.
At 32. And then picked up Smith from Philadelphia, Hawkinson from Minnesota as my tight end, as the Rams don't defend tight ends very well. And I did as my flex, hoping that Pickens picks it up at 6,300. And then
that's a strong flex play.
and then thank you. And as far as defenses go, I had mentioned earlier that the Broncos have the most sacks of the year, and so I'm banking for them to get some sacks and give me some points via sacks. Not so much holding
they're only
the score
2,400.
low.
So that
Yeah.
is. I mean, they're gonna get you points because you expect them. Like they should be able to do that. It would be very surprising if they don't sack Josh Allen a couple of times.
Right.
So if they're able to force a couple of turnovers, and that's been the thing about Josh Allen too. And it's so hard to pick an MVP this year because Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, like, where do you pick at what they did wrong?
I guarantee it's going to be Josh Allen.
I agree. I agree.
And it's stupid, but it's because Lamar Jackson has won the last two.
Well,
So Josh Allen will win.
no,
this
not the
one.
last two. He won last year and he won in 2018.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
it was
he's,
early.
sorry. So he's won twice.
I'll never
won last year.
forget it because it was one of the craziest game plans I've ever seen. But he won that first MVP in 2018, and then they played the Chargers in the wild card round, and the Chargers, I think they started the game with 6 defensive backs, and they just played dime the whole game and completely shut him down.
Yep.
You remember that?
I do.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a great play because they're going to get a couple of sacks. I don't think the Bills are going to score a ton of points, and if you get any turnovers, you're in the money. So yeah, that's a great play. You want me to go next?
Go for it. We'll save the best for last.
All right. So you want to go? So this doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm going to save $800 off of your 6,800, and I'm going to play Justin Herbert for 6K.
Wow. Okay.
How is Herbert only 6K? That seems wrong, right?
It's his average, but yeah.
Especially after the last month, I don't see how he's only 6K. That doesn't make any sense to me. So
Here's points over the last 5 games here. 31, 24, 23, 14, 13. So
they didn't have to do anything in the last week, really.
I was going backwards, actually. That was week 14
yeah.
and
So
15.
so the
the
last
last
3
3 weeks have
yes.
been 31, 24, and 23.
Yeah.
So
he shouldn't be 6K.
He is hot. But I'm just saying the reason why he's 6K is because he has those 14, 13, and 8-point games, because he does. But that's not what he's been doing recently.
Yeah. So getting him for 6K allowed me to play Saquon Barkley at 8,500.
Ooh, jealous.
And Bucky Irving at 7K. And then my receivers, I'm going to lead off with Puka at 7,600.
Okay.
I'm going to pair Lad McConkey to Justin Herbert at 6,800.
Now let's hear the savings.
And I'm going to punt with
I knew the next one had to be a punt.
and there were 2.
Wait, who was it?
There were 2 on my list, and I went with Keon Coleman.
Okay,
Because
okay.
I had the cash to do it. But my other guy was Olamide Zacchaeus for the Reds. Reds. Almost did it. I almost said it. For the Commanders. For that Washington team that plays in Maryland. And then, so here's where we really save money, though. At tight end and at flex, I'm playing 2 tight ends.
Oh, me too.
And I'm going to play Isaiah Likely at 3,200 in my tight end spot. And my flex is going to be Big Montana.
Wow.
Will Disley.
You are saving money.
Yeah, at 3,400. And I'm going to play the Rams at 2,900 for my defense.
All right.
With Sam Darnold seeing ghosts like that, I kind of feel like the Rams are going to be able to take advantage. They've had plenty of time to get ready
And that
for
Rams
this.
defense has been amazing.
They've been great.
The last month,
They've been so
really,
good.
really
The Rams defense is the reason that they are in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You trust their offense.
Their offense is how they stayed in the hunt. Their defense is how they closed out.
Yep.
For sure.
And so, yeah, that's my lineup, and I used all of my dollars.
I
So did I.
did too. I'm going to go ahead and start off. What I did is I spent up for the first part of my lineup, and I spent down for the last.
That was me too. That was me too.
So spending up, Jaden Daniels. I really expect Tampa Bay to kind of come out with a lead.
How much was he? Like 78?
75.
Okay, that's not bad.
I expect Tampa to kind of have a lead. I expect Washington to be playing from behind, and they've been doing that all year. And they have these amazing hookups at the end of the game. They have these amazing third and fourth quarters, and I think that's where Jaden Daniels is going to score his points. Because I'm not putting a lot on Buffalo, and I expect Buffalo to score a lot of points, I'm going to go with James Cook. James Cook and his 17 touchdowns. If he can get one or hopefully 2 of the touchdowns in this game, then that's going to make a lot of the Josh Allen stacks irrelevant.
Well,
So
how much was he? Like 65?
He's 67.
Yeah, he was a good deal. I remember seeing
So,
that.
and then you got to go Bucky Irving.
Yeah.
Bucky Irving is my
Counting on him.
yes,
Yeah,
my
he's
crossover to Jaden Daniels there.
your backbone.
I am going to stack Jaden Daniels with, of course, my favorite.
Score McLaurin.
Terry
He was a
McLaurin.
little expensive for me just because he's so
65.
Because he's kind of hot and cold. Like I like starting Terry McLaurin when he's anything under 6K, but
Going against one of the worst
I agree. I agree.
secondaries in football. I'm just saying. And so I am going to double stack and go with Zacchaeus as well. So Zacchaeus and McLaurin, like say that comeback coming from behind, that's what I'm counting
It's
on
a bit
there.
of a tournament lineup here.
And then, I think all lineups this week are tournament lineups. But and then Puka Nacua is my
We're all in Nakua.
my anchor.
And you know what? Okay, so now that we've all sorry.
No, you're good.
Now that we've all announced that we're playing Nakua, did you have that feeling that like maybe they've just been like, not trying to overuse Cooper Kupp?
And then they're
like
playoff time.
Yes.
Surprise!
That'd be great.
Rams fan? Come
That'd
on,
be great. I'd
tell
love
us.
that to happen.
Yeah.
I just think
It doesn't feel
age
that
has
way.
caught up with him.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just too many games in a row. You're just like, oh, Cooper Cup is getting phased out, is what it feels like. All right, and then we're gonna save some money. T.J. Hawkinson. Well, I guess that one's actually more mid-range.
That's really good.
Hawkinson, 30th ranked defense in the Rams against a tight end. I mean, you got to go with that. That's going to be, I think, one of the main targets for Minnesota this week. And I, again, went with 2 tight ends. So I went with Dallas Goedert as my flex.
You didn't go with Likely. Interesting.
I did not
Well,
go
you'd be
with
betting against your interest. if you
I almost
did that.
went with Goddard too.
Yeah. I don't really want to take any Ravens this week, and I do think that the Pittsburgh defense is going to keep that Ravens offense down low to where there's not going to be a lot of like really choice pieces in that offense.
We talked about this. Let's let you get through your line.
Well, I mean, and we all know
And
who
then
I'm
defense,
going
your
with.
Steelers
defense.
defense, yeah.
Steelers defense.
So-
2,200
Yeah.
stone men,
Yeah.
and they're averaging 8.6
And
a
you're
game
picking them to win
against a
anyway.
divisional
Yeah.
against a divisional opponent. Like, I just felt like that was an absolute steal.
it's a win
So,
for you. You couldn't have asked for anything better because you obviously have a rooting interest in the Steelers. So for them to be the cheapest defense that you could play is like, why not pick that?
And that's how they win. Hell yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
Because they don't win unless they force a couple of turnovers and maybe even score on defense.
At least one. Yeah.
Yeah. So in that game, I think because of the way everything is set up, I really like Isaiah Likely. Especially for his 3,200 price tag, there's no way I was not going to play him in my lineup as either the tight
can
end
see that.
or my flex because I think they're gonna shut down Bateman.
He's a good punt play because you feel like he's guaranteed for 8 points.
Something like that. And if he
And
scores,
he's only 3,200.
Yeah, and if he
so
scores,
at 3,200, 8 points is a fine floor. You know what I mean? Yeah. And if he does score 16 or 20,
and
then
I
you're
just
like,
think that their defense is going to be focused first on Bateman, and then Andrews probably first, and then you have to stop Henry. So I think that just opens up some opportunities for Isaiah Likely. I really like him on this slate.
Yeah, I have a
The
feeling
cost,
we're really
like-
going to oversell stopping Henry, because especially with Flowers
to.
out, we are going
With
to
Flowers
be
out, you got to force
stopping the run.
you got to force Lamar Jackson to beat you on the
Make him beat us, and he usually can't.
You usually can't. He struggles against the Steelers.
Yep.
So
Come on, baby.
not a good spot for him. So now that we've gotten through all the games and stuff like that, let's talk about this coaching carousel that's going on. You guys been paying attention to this stuff?
Not too much. I'm not gonna lie.
thing-
I did see that I did see that
The Bears already
Belichick.
interviewed like 8 guys.
Belichick.
Belichick is not leaving North Carolina.
Yeah, they say he's got a loyalty thing, and if a team picked him up,
If you
they'd
saw
have
his,
to pay out like $10 million.
if
to
you saw
North
his
Carolina.
press conference, you would not think that there's an ice cube chance in hell of Belichick leaving. Like, this is a childhood dream for him to coach the Tar Heels. Like, he literally said that according to his parents, his first words were "beat Duke." And for any, like, that's not necessarily a football reference. That's more basketball than it is football, but it's a big deal, you know. And so I think this is the last job that he wants to have.
Okay. There was talks like he was going to spend a year at Carolina.
And it's a new challenge, you know. What more does he have to do in the NFL?
You know, and for anybody that's like drawing correlations between what Harbaugh did and what Belichick might do, Harbaugh was a lot younger.
And I've seen him posting. He's already on the road recruiting and stuff like that. He posted a picture. He was at a fucking barbecue pit. You know, he's having a good time. There's no way you're not getting Bill Belichick. Sorry,
He's making
that's not happening. I don't.
just
there's no
as
way.
much, if not, you know,
Money won't do it. There's no way that he cares about money at this point.
And there's probably something else too, some underlining tones of like nobody else wanted me in the NFL
Yeah,
when
fuck
I was
you guys.
done. Yeah, exactly. So, suffer.
So the thing that interested me the most, obviously outside of the situation in Dallas, was what happened with the Raiders. And so I hit up a friend of mine that's been a Raiders fan for, you know, his whole life.
Obviously.
And which is, you know, I'm 40 years old, so I don't know people who are under 30. And I asked him if he was disappointed if Antonio Pierce got fired, and he said no. He, you know, and I'll read you. I'll just read you what I said, so I'm not paraphrasing and making it sound stupid. Let's see. What we got was not really. He had a year to prove himself and didn't do too well in any department. I'm glad he didn't get fired mid-season, but he didn't have the team management skills to keep it above water. And I asked him, I was like, but what did you think? And because this is the thing that keeps sticking with me, is what did you think about him getting fired on Tuesday instead of Monday? And on Monday, they had a team meeting followed by a press conference where he was talking about the future.
Who are we talking about?
Antonio Pierce getting fired by the Raiders.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They had
That was a little
so the NFL has Black Monday. We all know this. This has been a thing for as long as I can
Yeah,
remember.
they name it. They got a name for it and everything.
Yeah, the coaches get fired, and we start talking about, you know, who's gonna, and anybody who survives Black Monday keeps their job. I cannot think of another time this has happened. Can you?
Honestly, I don't really pay attention to that. Like it's the beginning, or beginning of playoffs. That's when they all get fired. I don't really think about
coaches that are still in the playoffs and then failing in the playoffs and then getting fired is a whole nother story. But a team whose season's done, I cannot remember the last time a guy got fired after Black Monday on a team that wasn't in the playoffs. Like,
was there anything out there as to why?
I haven't done too much digging, but I was talking to my to my Raiders friend, and here's what he said about in response to that. He said that press conference might have been the last nail in the coffin. He didn't seem enthused or like he was fighting for his job.
I didn't see it, so I can't speak to it. Yeah.
Or he could have just been saving face, but the writing seemed like it was on the wall. And I told him I thought that was an interesting perspective that I hadn't thought of. But my initial instinct was, come on, Raiders, get it together. Like, you can't even fire a coach, right?
And honestly, my first reaction was that felt like kind of a raw deal for Pierce because going into the season,
They didn't fire him mid-season though.
Yeah, that's true.
But
he had nothing
I'm
going
with
into
you.
this season.
I'm totally with you.
Absolutely nothing.
Totally.
No weapons, no quarterback, no nothing. And he gets to the end of the season, and that team is still fighting for him. They are fighting and playing for him. The third to last season game
Brock
of the
Bowers
season,
was an All-Pro.
third to last game of the season, the owner is coming down and celebrating with him for one of their 4 wins of the season. I mean, I really thought Pierce was going to get a chance.
And
to,
he bleeds
to actually,
Raiders.
Yes.
You know?
So I don't know. But again, I also hear he's one of those disciplinarian coaches, and a lot of times those guys will do really great at first,
Flame
and then
out, yeah.
people get tired of them.
Yep.
It's like, dude, I can't live under that kind of discipline for that long, So
that was the most interesting situation to me outside of my own with with the Cowboys. There's that. It's interesting to me that like Mike Vrabel seems to be the belle of the ball this year. Isn't that weird?
well, no, it's what's his name Johnson is, but Johnson's the number one guy that everyone's talking about.
I don't think so. I think he's everybody's wet dream, but you don't hear. I've seen a lot of lists of like potential coaching candidates for teams that don't have his name on it.
Really? See, Johnson, I always see at the top of the list, like in what I've been looking at.
If you watch on television, he gets talked about a lot. Okay. But if you're following like team pages and stuff like that, beat writers, they're leaving his name off the list.
Huh.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's going to be picky. And
so there's only certain teams that
right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And if you're an NFL owner, you're like, I want a guy who doesn't care. I want a guy who just wants the fucking job.
Well, you want the best guy, but if that guy's not going to pick your team,
You should
anyway,
also
then-
want. But just as a man, you should also welcome the challenge. Like you shouldn't be like trying to look for the nicest looking beach.
No, you have your pick of where you want to go play. Come on. You're not gonna take a
There's
quarterback.
also something.
You want to
there's
play some
also
quarterback.
something to be said for striking while the iron's hot. Like look at Bobby Slowick now. Everyone was talking about Bobby Slowick last year. The Houston yeah, exactly. Who is he now?
I was like,
the Houston Texans offensive coordinator, who's part of the Shanahan tree, left San Francisco with DeMeco Ryans to coach the offense there. Had a tremendous first year with C.J. Stroud, and now he's not even. People aren't even asking about him.
Well, yeah, they had a lousy season.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying is like it's important to strike while the iron's hot. Like,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And so the Lions are coming off of a fantastic. If I'm Ben Johnson, I mean, at least go look. If someone wants to interview you, go. Go.
But I mean, he doesn't interview at this point, right? I mean, he
No.
doesn't start interviewing until
he can't yet.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, that's not true. He can.
Really?
Yes, teams can definitely request to interview him
But it's a request until
the season's over.
Okay. I mean, what team would be like, oh, sure, distract my coach while we're in our playoff run?
Huh? Well, that
Like,
happens.
fuck that.
No, that happens. That happens a lot.
Why would you get permission for that? You're getting ready for a playoff game, and you're going to have your offensive coordinator going looking for another job. What the hell is that? Hell no.
It happens every year.
That seems crazy to me.
Yeah, it happens every
That
single
seems
year.
nuts.
It happens-
But I'm saying if it's a request, if the team
It happens
has to say
every
yes,
single year.
why would the team say
it happens
yes?
every single year? You're going to sit down and you're going to watch these playoff games, and the commentators are going to talk about a coordinator who just finished an interview for such and such team. That's going to happen. Just watch. Pay attention this time.
I will, but,
Watch all the games.
but it still doesn't make
it's gonna
sense if
happen.
it's a request. What benefit would it be for you to allow that to happen? Like, why would you?
Well, I mean, if you don't, why would anybody want to come work for your team?
Because we just
If
won a
you're-
Super Bowl.
If you're no, but I mean,
mean-
if you're the type of owner that blocks my ability to better myself, why would I want to come work for you?
Because I'm going to pay you better than anybody else. But yeah, I mean,
You got to see where I'm
think-
coming from.
I do, but I think that's a very minor concern. I think
but I think taking how much I'm not saying that he's not doing his job, but these guys are professionals, so it's not like they're not somewhat prepared to go have the interview.
I hear you, but I'm just saying this is the most important. This is the playoff week.
I agree.
Like, I'm just saying
And
that's got to be the focus.
and I imagine that a lot of these interviews don't take place in person anymore.
Yeah, you're right about that. I didn't think of that, but still, I don't know. I wouldn't want my offensive or defensive coordinator distracted like that during that week.
Don't work for Brian.
Yep, don't work for me. I will overcompensate you and make sure you stay and work for me, but I will
listen
not.
to all your
I will
conversations
not
and-
help you go work for somebody else.
He's going to
No.
bug your office. Yeah. We already talked about my team. I want to see. I expect to see Mike McCarthy come back.
Right.
And the only person that I would want instead of Mike McCarthy is Ben Johnson.
Any chance of that happening?
We'll find out in a few days.
Yeah, it seems like the timeline is working against you guys.
I feel like they did it themselves. They do it all the time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think Dallas is going to have to choose
do you
McCarthy
remember-
before they get a chance at Ben Johnson.
Do you remember the Jason Garrett saga when they hired McCarthy? How they were interviewing coaches for the job and Garrett was still in the building, like not leaving, and he was still trying to maneuver his way into staying as the head coach. It was. I remember feeling sad for Jason Garrett.
Awkward.
It was yes.
Where is he now?
On NBC Sunday nights.
That's where he belongs.
Jason had success on the offense. I think if he chose to come back to coaching, if I were him, I probably wouldn't take anything but a head coaching job. But he'd be an excellent get for anybody on the offensive coordinator.
That's what I'm saying. I really love the head coaches that kind of fail and go back to the coordinator jobs. They're usually really good at that coordinator
Look
job.
at Steve Spagnuolo.
Yeah, there's so many examples. So yes, taking a head coach as my coordinator, I'm all
somebody
over it.
my friend brought up about the Raiders job. He said he wouldn't be surprised if we hear Norv Turner or Scott Turner, his son, because Norv is already on staff.
Really?
Yes, he is. I forgot about that, but yeah, Norv Turner is in the building.
For the Raiders?
Yes.
Huh. Doing what? What's he doing
I think
now?
he's the offensive coordinator.
Is he really? Yeah. I wouldn't even know.
It would. Hey, you know what?
Who paid attention to them this year?
I didn't think about that, but if I had known, if my brain had been telling me that Norv Turner was the offensive coordinator in Las Vegas, I would have had Brock Bowers everywhere.
Yeah.
Because Norv Turner knows how to use a tight end,
yep.
and we're not talking about just Antonio Gates. Look what he did it with Jay Novacek in Dallas. Jay Novacek was kind of like the Cowboys got him off of the trash heap, and he turned into an All-Pro.
Yeah.
So Bezzy has some insight on this. It's the Peter principle That's how you establish a winning culture.
What?
But that's what he said. I'm just reading to you. What
The
he said.
Peter principle?
Google that.
Yeah. You got to tell us what that is, man.
You have to explain.
I am
that.
not familiar.
We're some dumbs.
Educate us.
Yeah.
The Peter principle. I've not heard of that one. I'm gonna feel dumb when it pops up. I'm like,
My first thought is Peter Griffin. So, so if he's making like this Family Guy joke, I respect that.
So the Peter Principle is a concept in management theory formulated by Dr. Lawrence J. Peter in 1969. In a hierarchy, every employee tends to rise to their level of incompetence. I'm familiar with that.
I
yeah.
am familiar with that, just
Yeah.
not the name. Yeah.
That's really funny. Tends to rise to their level of
Of
incompetence.
incompetence.
Yeah. People get
Because-
promoted to their incompetence.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's very
Yeah.
true. It's you haven't worked in a lot of like corporate type of jobs, but like I look at it at my like level of like who's above me and everything else. I'm like, yeah, that's very, very true. You know what I mean? Because like the guy who's the director of our department right now is like, he was an okay manager. He was decent. You know what I mean? But he did not need to get promoted.
So essentially, my theory on the Peter Principle is when you promote somebody, in order to stay in front of that, you promote somebody that you think can do not just the next level up, but the level above that. And then you just kind of stop there. But that's digressing, right?
Yeah, it's still.
Let's see here.
Good stuff. Thanks, Bezzy.
Jason Garrett was a great coordinator, but a terrible head coach. Yeah. So in that promotion, you would be like, in football terms, he can make a great head coach. Could he be a GM too? You know what I mean? And then you promote him to head coach. So with that, one last thing left on our agenda. I am going to be picking the Rams versus the Bills in the Super Bowl for my Super Bowl pick.
Okay. And I will go Steelers Lions. Kind of want to go Steelers Rams, but
Ooh, a classic matchup. And
the Lions look so good though.
God, it pains me to say it, but I'm going Eagles Bills.
So you think the Eagles are going to beat the Lions, huh?
I do.
Man, the Lions look so good. Now, like, you and I were both on the fact that, like, look, they've got so many injuries, that's got to take a toll against a good team and blah, blah, blah. And they spanked the Vikings.
It took them a long time. It took a lot of failing by the Vikings for that to happen. Like, okay, I was more unimpressed by the Vikings than I was impressed by the Lions in that game. The Lions eventually got it together, but I think they just kind of wore down the Vikings, who got worn down because of Darnold's poor play. That's my interpretation of that game.
Yeah, I can see that.
To me, the best team in the NFC, if maybe not the league, the last 6 to 8 weeks was the Eagles. And like the Eagles were, when Jalen Hurts got hurt at the beginning of the second quarter of that game against the Commanders, we're up 21-0.
I know.
And we're just choking the life out of the Commanders. Yeah. They looked dead.
Yep.
There was a immediate emotional change when Jalen Hurts got hurt. It was like, we got a shot. Let's go for it now.
And
but they looked like they were going to lose 40-0.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And the Eagles just look like a machine. And they've got, they should have multiple All-Pros on their offensive line. I think Lane Johnson got robbed. And so does he. He put up, he was doing his weekly press time in front of his locker room, and someone had put up this thing behind him that was his stats versus Penei Sewell's stats, and Penei Sewell's the right tackle for the Lions, who got the All-Pro nod,
right.
And it was a bunch of Lane Johnson better than Penei Sewell.
Yeah,
and Lane Johnson deserves it. I'm not sure if he's gotten one yet, and he has definitely been deserving. He's been one of the best tackles in the game for 10 plus years now. He's been really, really good, and they've got 5 guys. They've got Jurgens. They got Mailata. Like that offensive line is just loaded. And with Saquon Barkley and with Jalen Hurts and AJ
You only get
Brown
one,
and
Bezzy.
Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert, everybody's back now. Like this to me,
they do
I
look
really
good.
don't want to watch them hoist a Super Bowl trophy. I really don't. But it wouldn't shock me at all.
So
wouldn't
Bezzy is
shock me, but I
picking
think you're in luck.
Eagles versus the Chiefs, and he actually went one step further and said Eagles over the Chiefs.
The
and
Eagles
then,
are good.
And then tried to say, if not, then Detroit over Bills. You can revise your statement
Later, you have
next
to
try
read
again
the
next
stuff
week like we
now,
do. You
so
get
that we
one
can
right
point out
now.
how wrong you were.
You get one, Bezzy.
One pick right now. What happens if all four of those teams lose?
That we are all revising next week, right?
He can't revise. He won't have to revise until like the week after next. Because what did he pick? The Eagles and Chiefs. Yeah.
Well,
So
the Eagles could lose.
He'd only have to revise one side, and
Yeah.
obviously, yeah. So anyway, there was something else I wanted to bring up real quick. Have you guys been watching the college football playoff at all?
Nope.
There's been some
Little bit.
There's been some really good games
Outside of
Well,
highlights,
today.
though.
So
Today was a huge one.
yesterday too.
Oh yeah, yesterday with Notre Dame.
Yeah, I saw people going. Colin Cowherd said on X, top 5 college playoff game of all time. So I need to
That's too much of a qualification. There haven't been that many college football.
No, college playoff, not college playoff game, college game of
Okay. I was like, there haven't
Sorry.
been that many
Sorry.
college playoff games,
Sorry,
man.
I'm thinking of I didn't. That was an extra word.
That's the best out of 10 games I've seen.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, and it really is like that little. But no, he said top 5 college game all time, and so I saw a little bit of that game. I wasn't able to like tune into it. I was busy, but I was watching that the Texas Ohio State game tonight, and there was and first of all, Quinn Ewers sucks. God, that guy sucks. There's absolutely no way I would ever draft that guy, ever. I will eat dirt if that guy makes a Pro Bowl. I don't care if it's even as an alternate. He can be Tyler Huntley, 7th on the list, 4th alternate to the Pro Bowl, and if he plays in a Pro Bowl, I will eat dirt on this podcast.
He's that good, folks.
He is that bad. He is really, really that bad. He lost the game for him tonight.
Yeah, he showed it today.
Not seeing a guy coming from his front side. It wasn't even. He didn't get hit in the back. He got hit in the face and just didn't see the guy coming. It was everything that people say about Will Levis.
Rightfully so.
The ball doesn't come out of his hand in a consistent way ever. Like sometimes he throws the ball and it just how did the pass look that bad? And anyway, he lofts one to this tight end was running like a I don't even know what this route is. It was a cross, like a drag across, but then he cuts up field.
Okay.
And it was a deliberate cut up field because it wasn't like he ran over here and then turned to the quarterback and then decided to run up field. It was definitely part of the pattern.
Double cut. Okay.
And he hits him right. It was a good play. He hit him right as he was turning up field, and the tight end rumbles downfield and like stiff arms one of the defenders like in his chest and throws him, and the guy goes flying like 5-10 yards or something like that. And he's doing it right after he did it, he stepped out of bounds. So the play was over, and then he pointed at the guy. That's all he did. Pointed at the guy. Flag.
Yeah. Taunting.
Can't be pointing at people, dude.
And
Pointing at somebody makes them
Gives them the bad
if you-
feels.
yes, 45%.
Yep.
So if you point at somebody, it makes them feel like if you want to make somebody feel bad, you'll just be more effective if you point at them by 45%. So if they're on the verge of crying and you're making fun of them and you point at them, they're
you
set
want
them
him to
over the
cry,
edge.
point one more time, not in the face.
They use 2 fingers.
Making somebody feel bad is 45% more effective if you point. Boom. That's the stat.
That is
There you
good
go.
to know.
But it wasn't even like he was just like, like pointing at her. It was 1 point.
Well, NFL last week, there
Oh
was
my
something
God.
like all the guy did was like
Stand over for a second.
And Bezzy, yeah, that's part of the fun though, Bezzy, is to like make the prediction early.
what, say it again.
No, I was just telling Bezzy that's part of the fun is making the prediction
Oh
early.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm that defender, that happens, and I'm laughing. Oh, you got me. You got me. Good. That was nice.
But I can see how
I
emotions
would
are
be
high,
so much more upset and ready to do something illegal to you on the next play after watching you fucking dance, which they let them do constantly. I don't get it. It just doesn't make any sense.
No, I'm with you on that. Like, if you can't take a guy standing over you after you effed up or giving you a little point, like
Get a new job.
Or if you're in the end zone and you do more than 2 pelvic thrusts.
I don't understand your question.
What the
yet.
F? Come on,
one.
guys.
It's the third one.
is the bad
Yeah.
one. Yeah. It's like, come on,
Oh
man.
my
Make some
God.
rules that make sense, please.
Yes. Make it
Bezzy, I'm
make
not
sense for
understanding
me.
your question. If you can like elaborate on your question a little bit, so I can.
Oh, he's got
understand.
another question.
What did you say?
His last question: what are the social media that is being shown? Twitter? Question mark. Oh, on our yeah. So you can follow me at Clouded Jester. That is all social media. If you're gonna find me, you're gonna find me at Clouded Jester. So whether that's X or TikTok or YouTube, whatever, that's where you're gonna find me. And for Ken, it's Ken Against the Clock.
And
And
Mr.
Brian is Underground.
You cannot find me.
Cannot find Brian.
Brian is black.
He's living under a rock
Hell yeah.
with no phone. He still actually uses a chisel and a tablet to get his
I
messages
just stay away
across.
from social media, and I tell you what, I feel more and more justified every day.
You know
by
what? I
doing
got
that.
off of Facebook and Instagram, and I don't miss it at all.
God.
Not at all. I don't.
I literally did it for 1 month, and at the end of 1 month, I'm like, why the F am I doing this? This is stressing me out. This is pissing me off. This
For
is
me,
irritating
it's about like I'm still what they call an old timer. Like I have Facebook. I like seeing pictures of people like being posted
I
and
feel
stuff.
like I was not getting enough of that anymore. I felt
Yeah.
like
Well,
I
I
was
just
getting
hide
so
anybody
many
that's, like-
ads. You can't hide
Yeah.
the ads though.
No, yeah, ads you can.
There's nothing you can do about it. So it felt like it felt like the worst part of television all day long. And the fact that it's listening to you. How many times have you opened your phone and Facebook shows you something you were just fucking talking about to somebody?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah. That's
And there's
a real
absolutely no other reason that it should be showing it to you.
thing. That's a real
It's
thing.
like,
Yeah.
get out of here.
That is definitely a real thing.
I'm
and
out.
it's-
I'm over it.
It's scary.
So let's we don't have to talk about this on the podcast, but I really wanted to talk about the fire situation that's going on.
All right.
Yeah.
Sure. So
All
you
right,
want to end it here?
You want to end it here and talk about it, or do you
Sure.
want to throw it
I'm-
in?
yeah.
Does Bezzy want to talk about it?
Yeah,
or-
Yeah,
Yeah, do
he
you
said
want-
that was his last question. I don't think he's got anything else for us. Stay safe from the fires. Well, thank
Okay.
you.
We're about 300 miles away.
Yeah.
from
Yeah,
it,
we're
so doing
we're
that.
far away. We're just gonna talk crap.
We're safe enough.
We'll just see all the smoke in about a week.
Yep.
And it'll just hover here for like 2 weeks after that.
In our little bowl.
Yeah, the bowl, the fish bowl that we live in the
Yep.
Central Valley.
So that being said, what are we meeting again same time next week?
I think
time.
that's the plan.
Same time next week, everybody. 8 o'clock Friday, Pacific Standard Time. Catch us on live YouTube. Just look for us, Fantasy Football Theories podcast, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye, everybody.
See ya. Steelers and Rams still in it. Come on.
Yeah.
Go Cowboys.
Cowboys 2028.
Hey, Micah said next year. Micah said he's hoisting the trophy next year.